there ain't no stopping us. Fly without boarding pass. Couldn't catch me, I be moving fast. Call me a shooting star. Let 'em know who you are. Flying up in a bar. Wish on a star. Time to show 'em who's in charge. Call me a shooting star. Shooting stars. Didn't even get to bronze. I'm moving too far. Get to glass. Looking at a shooting star. Got more than a couple of people going mad. I swear they're rooting hard. Tell them I be big in the game like she went and got them breast implants. I said I'm moving too fast. Didn't even get a glance. I'm ready to eat up track like I'm seated in a restaurant. If you had swag like mine, you know it's best to flaunt. We aren't hating because you aren't. Shining like it's neon. Rock like kings of Leon. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, temperatures have to leave. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, temperatures have to leave. Yeah, shooting. Yeah, shooting. Yeah, shooting. Yeah, shooting shots. Shooting stars. Didn't even get to bronze.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away? Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away?
All right, what's going on, folks? Folks at home. We've got over 128 people in the chat watching the show already on all the different platforms. Make sure you are hitting that like and subscribe button and all of that good stuff. It helps us out. We've got a great show tonight. We have sacked Stelios. No, I'm just kidding. He's still on vacation. He'll be back someday.
He's still in sunny Cyprus. He's enjoying life in sunny Cyprus.
Thank you for looking at those photos, man. I don't know when he's coming back.
I don't know if he's going to come back, to be honest with you. But if he does, we'll welcome him back with open arms. I hope he comes back soon. We all
He's at that nightclub with those honeys in the nightclub. It's going to be a while till he comes back.
That's right.
Clearly out of his system.
He's a bit old to be doing that. No?
I saw the video, but I saw a lot of sausage, not a lot of honey. But
yeah, look more like a butcher
like
to me. But
3 guys and 1 girl.
we got a lot of people in the comments already. Make sure you do hit that like button, subscribe. You can also join the channel too. There is a join link that is somewhere on YouTube. If you hit that, you can become a member and all that good stuff, which does come with some perks. You know, you can get a discount on a mug or be a moderator or any of that stuff. But that's about it.
Be a mod.
But we've also got some other things. Some people. We got Christian in the house. Sue Smith, big up Sue. Surex Ace, Prince. Big up Prince. We got Chris in the house. Big up everyone. Let's get Tottenham weight up to 5K subs. Yeah, we're almost there. I think we are about a little less than 100 away from 5K. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet already. 89. There you go. So 89 subs away. We'll get there. I'm not worried about it, but we just keep doing what we do, and if people want to be a part of that, then great. So Lisa Davis is in the house as well. 3SS Sports. Ryan Isaac as well. Big up Ryan and the boys over at Tottenham on tour. Rob
Big
Aries,
up,
Levy out. Big Ron Vignac. Rams. Big up. Good. Congratulations on your win against Manchester United yesterday. We got Tony Rodriguez in the house as well.
Hey.
John
Tone.
Jono 71. Adrian Savrog, Jazz Fusion, Osherman, JJ, big up JJ, Chris, channel member, Quaz, Boxing Hotspur. I think that's Jason Williams, big up Jason. LA, big up LA. Jamie,
we will be talking about Son tonight as well, and I can see already a few of the messages. We're a little bit not quite convinced. Either,
Some love.
you know.
Brian
Some
Daigle,
love, some not so much
Brian.
love.
Big up Brian.
Big up everyone in
Big
the
up,
chat.
Brian.
The
Big
boys
up
from
everyone.
Tottenham
Great show
Tour
earlier.
MC. Lots of people. Jagwit Rawat, big up, man. Love from India. Dietrich Kane, the goat, Dietrich Kane.
I don't know who this guy is. No idea.
But we got that going on here. But that's, if you're joining the chat later, we'll be popping the chat up and down as it comes in. But we just wanted to welcome everybody that came into the show. So we won this weekend, won quite convincingly, 5-2 in Burnley. And what were you guys' thoughts on the match, just in general? I mean, obviously, people that were, me and Mari and I were doing the watching along, so everybody knows our responses. We'll skip me and Mari, and then we'll go, JP. What did you think of the match? Were you happy? Sad? Did you cry?
I'd just like to say big up to you two guys, because I started the drive back from Scotland, put you guys on. The old internet was in and out and stuff like that, and after 4 minutes I was thinking, shit, it's going to be a long drive. But do you know what? The boys kind of like turned it around. I think they got their foot in the game. I think they got caught early. That long ball over the top once again, man. Once again. Lucky enough, it was the game of the day, so I managed to tape it and watch it when I got back. But I think we kind of got back into the game, took control of the game after about 15-20 minutes or so, or something like that. It looked like, and then I think we hit Burnley early in the second half, and then that kind of killed them off. Really, I was surprised, and fair play to old Vincent Kompany in terms of what he wanted to do and the style he wants to play, and it obviously worked well in the Championship. I think if they play that open, I think they will struggle for the rest of the league, because I think players will pick them off. And no disrespect to that, I'm not sure they've got the players at the level to play in the Premier League as open. Fair play to the style of football, and fantastic for him kind of like wanting to do that. But chuffed, absolutely chuffed with the result. Chuffed that kind of the main man got to play through the middle, which I think we've been saying for like quite a while now. And he showed, if you give him the opportunities and he gets up in front of goal, he knows where that onion bag is. And his first goal, was that dirty? Was that dirty or what?
Dirty little chip. It was great. It was great. Love to see it.
So
Oh, sorry.
Enjoyed the I was going to say enjoyed the result. It is only a couple of games, but long may it continue.
Mr. Iggs, you kind of came in a little bit there, here and there. We had the Arsenal guy on after, and you seemed to get fed up with that and then disappear. But
No.
what were your thoughts of the game?
The first sort of 15 minutes of the game, obviously, add the fact that they scored really early on. We was trying to get some sort of flow going, and we couldn't get much happening because we gave the initiative to Burnley, and they capitalised on it early on by scoring, and then that followed the momentum with that, with getting the crowd. The first thing you want to do in the first sort of 10-15 minutes is to quieten the crowd or keep them at bay, but we did the complete opposite. So for the first 15-20 minutes was a bit of right, okay, let's not sink, and I felt from the moment that we scored, we equalized. Sometimes all the pressing and all the tactical stuff and the tactical battles that goes onto the game, sometimes just one ball over the top, because teams nowadays, a lot of the teams tend to press and play a high defense. So sometimes they get out of jail ball over the top, which is what happened with Sonny's goal. He controlled it. One, little 1-2s with
control
Solomon.
as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, great control. 1-2 with Solomon, slotting him in. Great goal, like you said. Sublime finish, composure in front of goal, which is what one of my first comment was. That's what it means to have composure in front of goal. And all of a sudden, that swayed the tie. Momentum went to Spurs, and then from that point onwards, right up until the half time, where then Company sorted his team out to just try and nullify us a little bit. And I was impressed with Burnley. I was impressed with their approach, generally speaking. I was impressed with the way they tried to play football, which is completely different to the team that went down to the championship.
Totally opposite,
Now they've
isn't it?
come back
John
up. Yeah, they're
Dice.
much more technical side. They were good to watch. What I didn't expect from them at half time was to completely fold in the way they did. And the longer the game was going on, you just thinking this can end up really an embarrassing result, because
They changed
Spurs in that
their
second
system,
half.
didn't they, Iggy?
Yeah, they changed the
They
system, but
changed
they
the
didn't.
system in the second half when they came out. It's almost
I
like they
felt
played
they
three
did
at
that
the
too
back
soon
and went
because
with
it
wing
was
backs.
only 2-1. It wasn't required for him to do it as early as he did. I know probably he wanted to do it because he wanted to surprise us, but he ended up surprising them, and we were devastated
them
in
off.
that second half. We absolutely mullered them, and in the end, it totally ended up being a real comfortable win. Disappointed a little bit to concede. It was 5-1 up, and we shouldn't be conceding. We used to see the game out. Just make it a point. Like, look, we've done the job going forwards, and now we have to really want us to take care of that defensive, like just nullify them a little bit and say, you know what, we're not going to concede in the next 10-15 minutes. That's going to be our prime job because we've scored 5. So I was a bit disappointed to concede in the way that we did, but that was combined with the changes. We made a lot of changes, and we know that once we get the subs on, the level drops a little bit. The game was done, I suppose, and maybe a lack of concentration allowed us to concede that second goal. But overall, it was a great day. I was really happy for the away fans, the Tottenham away fans that went all the way up to Burnley, having followed the Fulham defeat or the Fulham exit of the cup. They were there in loud voice, and that's the one thing. The fans are always present in every match that we attend, especially away from home. And so far, it's been nothing but away games. We've had one home game, haven't we, against Man United, and we haven't. And now we're going to play this weekend on against Sheffield United. So hopefully we can take that momentum into that Sheffield United, and before we go for the international break, hopefully get another win in the bag.
Yeah. But Lee, you had a trip to the United States. You know, you came to visit me and Mari in spirit, not in person, but in spirit. And did you get a chance to watch the game? And what were your thoughts about it?
Well, the Burnley game was supposed to be my first game back where I could actually sit and watch a Tottenham game because I've missed all the other 4 being away. And then stupidly, with all the jet lag and stuff like that, I fell asleep about 2:45 and woke up at 6 o'clock. So I was amazed when I woke up and it was 5-2. I was like, oh, I'm still dreaming. What is going on? So I've only managed to see the highlights of it. But, I mean, it's just, it certainly seems like we've got enjoyable matches where the story coming out of it is isn't Tottenham haven't had a shot in 38 minutes or they haven't had a shot in 15 games. I mean, just looking at some of the stats, we're creating so many chances. It's almost like we're just overwhelming teams by scoring as many goals as we can, even if we are letting a couple of odd goals here and there. So it's great to see. I'm just hoping that it continues, and I'm hoping this international break doesn't do us any wrong uns with some of the guys out on an international duty.
Yeah, no injuries.
But the
the
difference
worry.
between this year and last year is I'm excited for the next game.
Yeah.
That's the difference. I'm excited to watch the next game, whereas last year it was like, oh, there's a game today. All right, I'll put it on. I'll watch it. But now I'm actually excited to watch the next game to see what we can progress and improve on what is already seems to be a really good start. I mean, I'm not going to get carried away, but it is what it is. But yeah, other than that, it's looking promising at the moment.
How did it feel to have to wake up before sunrise to watch a Spurs match?
Well, he didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't.
Listen,
now you feel our
matches. Well, most of the matches were at like 9 o'clock or 11 o'clock in the morning, depending on what time it was played over here. But let's get it straight. I was at Disney with 2 kids, so we were up at like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. anyway, just to get to the parks to get on rides. It's ridiculous. So I was already up.
Early. You gotta get there early.
Really early.
Because that queue,
Yeah,
that line. Yeah.
But at least you were on the East Coast though, because if you'd have gone to Disneyland instead of Disney World, you would have had to wake up at 3-4 o'clock in the morning to watch a game.
I did that a couple of years ago. We were in California and at the same time, and it was like, yeah, there's no chance.
Yeah, I don't know how us US fans have to wake up early times, but I guess Mari and I are both blessed to be on the East Coast. Because I'll tell you right now, I probably wouldn't be as big a Spurs fan if I had to wake up at 3-4 o'clock in the morning to watch. It's like, especially over the past 2 years. So like all the people from
go to bed, let alone wake up.
Yeah. But Maz, what were your thoughts on the game, and how are you enjoying the season so far?
My thoughts on the game were it was obviously a really good result. I thought we played pretty well. I was quite worried in the first 10-15 minutes when they had more control of the ball, and I was thinking, no dear, I hope we haven't started in the way that we started the League Cup game. But yeah, it was a good team selection in the end. Sonny being centre, our main striker, proved dividends. Notable performances for me was Sonny. I think he wouldn't say he had a lot of the ball, but every time he had the ball, he was composed and he done his job and he was clinical, and that was really good to see for me. I thought Van der Ven had a good game. Romero had an excellent game. I thought Porro was decent. To be honest, the whole team was pretty good. So overall, I'm really happy. I think we started well. I'm guarded though. I do see problems ahead, if I'm honest, and those problems ahead, I think will become more evident as the months go on and we pick up injuries, certainly to the back line. I'm really hoping that he's not thinking that Davies and Emerson will be good centre backs if one of the 2 guys get injured. That's my doubt.
Don't forget Dyer.
Well, I mean he didn't even make the bench, did he, in the last game? So
it's pretty telling. I'm not upset about it.
Yeah,
When's the squad being released?
I don't know when they have to register it officially. End of the month, maybe. Like when do all the other windows close? Like I don't think they have to register it until.
Okay. So
I think the Turkish league and the
Saudi's 2 weeks.
Saudi Arabia. No,
There's a week
Saudi Arabia
later,
they've made an announcement saying that their window will close on the 7th.
Oh, okay.
On Thursday.
Thursday the 7th.
They're still trying to get Salah from
They had 2 weeks. They had 2 weeks more, but they decided to bring it forward and close on the 7th. And I think that's, if I'm missed, I'll look it up. But
how can you do that
I'm pretty
in the
sure
middle
the
of a
Turkish
window,
league.
though?
I think
like next year, I think I can understand it.
I think the 20th.
Saudi.
I think the 20th Iggy was for Division 1 or something, is what I heard. But their Premier League, where all these players are being bought for, is the 7th.
I said there's still a chance for our players to go to the division, to the lower divisions.
The Division 2, and then also too, the what is it? The EFL window has a different length to it too, doesn't it? Right. The international transfer window is closed, but you can still bring up players from the championship, right? For
and free transfers. Free transfers.
Well, free transfers you can bring in at any time.
Yeah. So the Turkish Super League, Friday the 15th of September. So there's still a little bit of time for players to move to the Turkish League, like the likes of.
Yeah, they've nicked a couple apparently today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Fabrizio Romano reported earlier today. Here we go for Tengue and Dembele on a loan with an option to buy to Galatasaray. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it just happened to do so. And then we've got Davinson Sanchez as well, apparently for 15 million euros, sold with an actual.
There's nothing from the club
sale.
though, right?
Nothing from the club yet, but it's a here we go, and apparently Ndombele has already flown over to Turkey. So, the Davinson Sanchez one, I don't think he's
surprised
left
that he's here
but
today.
That's what everybody in the chat is saying, right?
I was just,
Richard says
I'm surprised Iggy's here today. I thought Iggy would have been driving him now.
Yeah,
But for me,
as tempted as it was.
But before we get into the Sun topic, because I know everybody in the chat's dying to hear that one. On this one, I'd like to pose a different question. We're all happy. I don't think there's anybody here except for maybe Iggy who's upset that Ndombele's leaving. But on the Sanchez aspect of this, does this concern you? Like, I'm sure we all, if this was the beginning of the transfer window and you were to ask any of us, do you want should Sanchez head out? We'd have all said yes, right? There's not a single one of us. I think they would have said no, he needs to stick around. But now, being that the windows is closed and there is no way that he can be replaced, was it a smart move to get rid of Sanchez over, say, the likes of Dyer? Because now, if we get an injury in that back line,
you could argue though that the whole situation with the defense is a bit stupid, though, isn't it? I mean, the fact that we spent the last 3 months dying for two centre backs and we only got one. Well, we've got two centre backs in, but one of them's a young lad who's come in. It's not really going to feature.
And I honestly, he can't be any worse than them two. I know he's only 18 or 19, but he's mature for his age. But sorry.
Yeah, and what we don't know is what Andrew's assessment is of, or his real thoughts on Sanchez and Dyer. Maybe he thinks they're so bad that it doesn't matter who else we put there; they're always going to be better than those two. And that's, let's be honest, that's a legitimate train of thought, right? I mean, I don't get why we're so worried that Sanchez is going out the door. I'd rather get him out the door and suffer. But we've got him out the door, and then there's something we can rectify in January if we need to, or next year, then rather than hold on to him and watch the calamity unfold in front of us every time he comes on the pitch.
Well, I don't mind necessarily Phillips starting or playing in front of Davinson Sanchez, because even if he's here, my concern is that leaves us with Joe Rodon heading out. It leaves Tanganga's gone. It leaves us now so thin that one injury could end up putting Eric Dyer back in the starting 11, and for me, that's a bigger calamity than Sanchez being here until January.
He's hanging in there, isn't he?
I will say this.
Hanging in there, isn't he?
You have to look at it two ways, right? Because Edge has said some very positive things about Phillips, which I like to hear. At the beginning of the season, right? Because I've watched the other channels and Twitter. All right, the good thing, we got rid of Sanchez. The bad thing, it leaves us thin, like paper thin, right? And this is all to be blamed from the club. The club put us in this situation. But for me, coming into the season, I honestly, because we started off so good, this was supposed to be a free pass of a year. And so for me, I expect some of the young players to play. So for me, I'm actually happy Ashley Phillips is going to play, because that's the reason why we signed him for, right? And then I saw some clips on Dorrington. I don't know where on Twitter. Someone posted. It was a good video. Like I was like, okay, this Dorrington can because Stella has been
Dorrington,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
Dorrington. Stella's been
He's
talking
been
about
ripping out.
Dorrington,
He's been ripping out in under 21s.
and I'm like,
Yeah, I watched the
dude,
last 2 matches. Really,
yeah,
he looks
I'm
really
like,
promising.
dude, these throw him in the pool, throw him in the pool. Because this year, to be honest, one thing I've always had a beef with this club, and it's because okay, we had Mourinho, Conte, Nuno, and we had to win now. If, like I said, Edge is coming in, right? And this is supposedly a project, right? Now the young players are going to play. Valise is going to play second half of the year. So Dorrington and Phillips, let them play. We already know what Sanchez was. We already know what Dyer was. And now it's not good enough. But with these two kids, right, there's a high ceiling possibly. Let's see let's just play the
And I'm
unit.
good with that. I'm good with that too. But Dyer needs to go, like not be registered. If he's not registered and there's no chance of him playing, I'm okay with our U16 center backs playing. Right? I'm fine with that. What I don't want to see is Romero getting an injury, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, Eric Dyer is now on the bench, or I don't want to see his name on the team sheet again.
I agree. Yeah,
right?
I think, guys. I think from Ange's point of view, I think his selection week in week out has been very very clear to Dyer. For me, there's definitely a conversation that's been had with the two parties, and I'm convinced that he's made it clear to him that he's not part of the plans, and the fact that he's not included him anywhere near the squad on match day, that tells it very clear to us also as fans that he is not part of the team selection. Of course,
but I think Sanchez was that buffer, though. Having Sanchez allowed him to not put Dyer on the bench, but Sanchez is gone now. We don't have that buffer anymore.
He was that buffer. I agree, but I think moving forward, but regardless whether Sanchez was there or not, the fact of the matter is Dyer was still not included in the squad. So if it was in mind that he was going to keep one and not the other, then perhaps it should have been Sanchez not being in the squad if he was going to move him on. But the way I see it is very clear. From my perspective, I want them all gone. These guys have been here way too long and they need to move on. And I'd rather, although I'm still annoyed at the club for not bringing in a cover for, or at least an alternative option to both Romero and Van der Ven for the first team, I'm quite happy between now and January to move on with the likes of Phillips, to move on with the likes of Dorrington, and say, do you know what? Let these kids grow. They're going to make mistakes. I accept that. I expect Van der Ven to make mistakes too, because he's in that young mode. So for me, I'm quite happy for these kids to grow, learn, make mistakes, and become better. Then seeing the same old that I've seen for the last 5 to 10 years. I can't be doing that no more. I want them out.
Yeah.
What really bothered me this week is the news about Lloris and effectively Dyer not having opportunities to go, and them saying no, I'm not going, I'm staying put. And to me, that just shows everything about their ambition. If they wanted to play football and they wanted to progress their careers, although that they're at the latter stages of their careers, they would leave. Why are they hanging
Lloris
around?
announced himself he wanted to leave. Lloris said himself he wanted to move on.
Yeah,
Lloris,
he had opportunities. He's had.
But Lloris is a bit older, right? He's 35 years old, so it's not that big of a. If he doesn't move on, his career is pretty much over anyway, right? And I think he realizes that, as hard as that is to accept. Dyer, on the other hand, is only 29, 30, right? So for him to do this, I'm going to say it like I said it with Harry Kane, because we had the opportunity to get a transfer fee for him in his last year of his contract. I think he's a Judas. I really do. I think he is a snake and doesn't deserve to be registered. If I was in charge of the football club, a lot of things would be different. But he'd be play. I wouldn't register him. I wouldn't even let him train. I wouldn't let him play with the U23s. I'd make him sit at home.
You got to look at it from a working perspective. If the guy's not done any wrong in the sense that he hasn't done any, like, what's the word I'm looking for? He hasn't committed any. I'm trying to forget it from a works perspective. He's not caused the club disrepute. He's not behaved like an unprofessional. You can question his performances, of course you can. But I'm saying like he hasn't done anything wrong from that point of view. He turns up to work, he trains. Then it's the manager's choice whether he wants to play him or not. He hasn't caused anything for the club to be this heavy disciplined on him.
That's not necessarily true. Apparently,
but that could be treated as an unfair behavior from the club towards him if we start now almost bully him to say you're not part of this, you're not part of this. I don't know, but I'm throwing it out there.
Apparently, though, right? Dyer with the news,
that's the one.
People said it was not necessarily a factual statement or whatnot, but I think that the evidence that he hasn't made even the bench since then is pretty clear that there's probably some truth to it. Was that Dyer, after Harry Kane was sold, led a revolt in the dressing room and refused to do all kinds of these things and that thing. So if he is causing a scene, this is what I'm talking about. If you keep Dyer around and he knows he's not, and Postecoglou has made it clear to him that he's not a part of the system and he's not even going to make the bench.
I agree with.
Right?
He's got to
now
take the initiative to move. Yeah.
Right.
He should say, right, I'll move on.
We have no obligation as a club to play him, to even let him train. All we have to do is pay him. And we have to pay him anyway. So I would have him sit at home, play FIFA all week. And
we were willing to rip up what was his name, Doherty's contract for him to go to Atletico. I mean,
we did that Aurier as well.
Aurier as well, yeah, absolutely. So why not Dyer? This is what I don't get as well. And even with Lloris being at the end of his career, the fact that he's had Lazio.
Yeah, we should just let him go. We should just let him go. Right? Say, do you know what? Thanks for the service. Move on.
Yeah, look, mate. You know, I'm not.
But Maz, we're trying to earn even out of Lloris. What are you going to get from him?
The lemon.
500 grand, 1 million, 2 million. What are you going to get from him? Big up, still. I know you're dying to say something.
I've got 2 minutes. That's why I'm like, I'm with some friends. So.
Thanks for your.
First of all. I'll just quickly big up to all you guys on the show tonight. Big up to everyone in the comments. There's 3 very quick things I want to say, and then I'm out of here. Just going to add my little bit here. First of all, anyone that Ange doesn't want, get them all out of the club. Every single one of them, because we didn't do it for Poch, we didn't do it for Jose, we didn't do it for Conte. Get them all out of the club. I don't care. Get them out. Number 2. I'm so glad that this channel stood by Heung-min's son, never turned on him, never asked for him to be ditched, sold, washed, none of that, because
I wouldn't have let you.
He's now proving. Listen, Will, you're the biggest advocate of it. Everyone knows that. But
do you know what? Listen, there's going to be people there saying it's only one game. Take it easy. There will be people out there saying
discuss that. We'll discuss that when we get to the Sunspot, because I'll fix that.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But 1 minute. At the same time, it's only one game he's been played striker, like we've been saying. So
yes.
You can counter it. And the second thing I want to say, and then I'm out of here, guys, because I've got to go. But I'm also so happy this channel never turned against Romero. We said he's rash. We said he's a bit crazy, right? We always said, put a quality centre-back next to him. Not Dyer, not Sanchez, not Ben Davies.
We did. We said that.
Mickey van der Ven is the best striker, best centre-back we've signed or hired or loaned since we signed Romero. And Romero has proven, and I'm going to use what Mari said, because Mari always said it, we're now seeing the Romero from Copa America and the Romero from Atalanta. He is a top defender. So I'm glad we're back, son. I'm glad we're back, Romero. And all the players at this club that Ange isn't playing, isn't selecting, it's bloody obvious. He doesn't want them. Get them out. That's all I wanted to say. Big up to all of you, man.
Big up,
away.
The Wi-Fi is shit. Everywhere he goes. Everywhere he goes.
I'm out of it.
See you later.
See you, Still.
Big up, Still.
Yeah, and I just want to echo what Will said about Eric Dyer, because I went on my rant 2 weeks ago because of those comments that he made, and I was just like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, Dyer, who was the remnant of that leadership council, I'm like, dude, you got to get rid of him. You got to get rid of him. So now that Sanchez is gone, you know what? Well, that leaves two youngsters, Dorton and Phillips. Well, like I said, this is the year we're gonna play some of our youth. This is the year that we didn't really have expectations. This is the year that now this is the chance to let our young players, Sar, who's playing, Belize later on, Phillips, Dorton, let them play. The old remnants needs to go. Eric Dyer is not good for the club. He's bad. He has to go. Just like Serge Aurier had to go, Sissoko had to go. Eric Dyer has to go. It's a new beginning. It's a fresh start. He needs to go.
And this is another thing that bothers me a little bit about a lot of fans. I'm gonna take Stell's role and going in on the fans today. Where they talk about, but we have to pay his contract out and blah blah. I don't care, right? We had to pay out Pochettino's contract when we sacked him. We had to pay out Jose Mourinho's contract when we sacked him. We had to pay Nuno for 4 years worth of a contract when we sacked him. We had to pay Conte out for the remainder of his contract.
Yeah, it's only 1 year with Eric Dyer. It's 1 year left.
I know. That's what I'm saying. There's only a year left. And if he sticks around and ends up having to play for us, we have to pay him anyway. So just pay it out. Pay it out.
Get him out. There's no point.
I would pay another club to take him.
Yeah.
Listen,
go to Bayern Munich and say, we'll pay you 20
10 grand, 10 grand.
Yeah, just
we're going to lose out on 10 grand worth of interest or something.
Yeah, I mean,
the only one that's questionable is Ndombele, right? But now he's gone. That was the only one that was questionable.
Yeah, he's got 2 years left on his contract. He's on huge wages.
Lloris. I mean, do you know what? I'm on the fence with Lloris because the alternative is Forster.
Mate, it's 5 keepers we've got though. Don't forget.
Well, yeah, I suppose, but again, the other guys are young guys, right? So
look at this. I think. Stewie, why would you keep him if you have to pay it out now or at the end of the year? What's the difference? Might as well keep him. Why keep him? That's the point. There is literally no logical or rational reason.
The dressing room.
Exactly to keep him.
He could cause more damage by when a player's not involved. He's not playing. He's not involved. Knows that he's not part of the manager's plans. He can be a disruption, whether he means to be or not. In the long run, if he's not playing, you're gonna start feeling that thing against the
resentment.
Resentment against the manager, resentment against your teammates, and it's just human nature that takes over because you want to be out there playing and you can't. So all of a sudden, you have somebody in a dressing room that can instill that sort of resentment and bad vibes amongst the changing room. You don't want that.
And the guys that are on the edge, they're on the fringes, who maybe have gone on loan before, like Lo Celso or Brian Hill. Eric Dyer is going to be the first one chirping in their ear, right? And if you don't, you've got such a good feeling right now in the club under Ange Postecoglou, and there seems to be so much brotherhood and happiness running through the first 11. We don't need him in Emerson's ear. We don't need him in Richarlison's ear. We don't need him in Lo Celso's ear. We don't need him in these type of situations.
You need a new energy before me. Listen, I see what the guys are saying in the comments about Lloris. I wouldn't have minded. I wouldn't have minded Lloris as a backup goalkeeper. But the moment a player says that I'm done, he wants to move on, and and we've also got a replacement for him. So I would have said, you know what, keep Lloris as backup. But with Foster, Austin, Whiteman, Vicario, it's too many. It's too many. You got 5 in the ranks, man. It's like, or we should have said, you know what, there's been a change of plan.
We're only playing one game a week, right?
Then we say, right, Whiteman, Austin, Foster. We need to find a situation. We need to sort you guys out. But we haven't done that. Now we've got 5 in the ranks, and you know, an extra one.
The Reese
That
has also
wasn't part
said
of the
that
plan.
he turned down contracts this summer because he wants to be the number one.
Lazio was done, and
That's what I'm saying. So like he doesn't want to be a number 2. He could have gone to Lazio. He could have gone back home to
Yeah.
Nice. He could have gone to other places. We could
But
have got rid
then
of Fraser
sense.
Foster. I would rather have Lloris as a backup
Yeah.
than Fraser Foster.
He doesn't want to be a number 2.
He doesn't want to be a number 2.
I feel
and he's
like
wearing the number 1. So.
Yeah, but also I feel like there's he's also thinking about retirement now. So I'm not sure what he wants. All I know that it
Go to
ended,
MLS, man.
Yeah,
I'll call some friends.
I think it ended poorly for him, and that Newcastle away game, you know, didn't come out second half for him. He's not captain anymore. It just ended in the worst way possible for him, and I just don't see right now where he fits in at Spurs. He doesn't, and for me, let him find his club. I say, look, he's done a good deed. He's done a good service at Spurs. Let him go, man. Just like, why you got to catch him?
I don't think it's us though, Iggy. I don't think it's Spurs that are not letting him go. I think it's him.
But what does he do? He wants to leave, but he wants to stay. He's not part of the.
I think he's waiting for like, you know, the golden egg to come along, like some big club where he can go and be number 1
Saudi
in
Arabia.
another couple of years.
Probably wants a payoff, doesn't he?
Yeah,
But I thought he wanted to go back to France.
He
So
turned down Saudi Arabia though.
Yeah, so I think he wants to go back to France. I don't think he wants to go
down,
in the other league.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know. It's just a bit
sum
of a mess
up,
there.
The 2 things to sum up Sanchez's career, because Tanguy officially kind of comes back, though he's gone. It's just that, you know,
there's an option in the loan, so they could make it official at the end of it, but they probably won't.
With Dyer, it's weird because he came from Ajax. I mean, not Dyer. I mean, Sanchez came from Ajax, and you know, you got to play from Ajax. You know, oh, okay.
Club record signing at the time.
Yeah, club records at the time. But the thing is, you have to question the club scouting because I looked into it. He like playing at his feet, right? That's one of the worst flaws for Sanchez, right? He was probably one of the worst center backs that came out of Ajax, who couldn't play with his feet. And remember,
yeah, but he was defender of the year for Ajax when we bought him, right?
Which is weird. Which is weird. But Jose Mourinho said when they played them in the, I don't know, was it the Europa League final or whatsoever? He said, "Go at Sanchez. Go at Sanchez." Or Champions League, he was like, "Go at Sanchez. He is the weak link." Jose Mourinho had said that about Davinson Sanchez, and when he came into our club, the first year he had an okay year, but his development still needed to happen, and we had so many different coaches come in. That wasn't happening with all those changes. And so to sum up his career with Spurs, it started off good, but he didn't fully develop into
someone's got a phone that's pinging.
To the center back that we thought that he would be. But also too, you know, the scouting, though he was defender of the year for Ajax, but the scouting could have been better in regards to
in his defence. Though I do think it's a bit of Spurs' fault. We do this a lot to players. I mean, we bought him in. His first season with Poch was good. Poch gets sacked. Mourinho comes in. You know, he gets sacked. Conte comes in. You know, so if we're fair to him, he's probably thinking, "Fuck me, I've been under like 5 different managers.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, what do you want me to do?" But at the end of the day, that's life. You've got to deal with it. You know, you
also had him. This is what I'm saying. People like to. This is why I said when we signed Van de Ven, right? Everybody was popping off. He's going to be this great player, which has turned out he's playing really well. I like to be skeptical now, especially because of signings like Sanchez and Ndombele. You had Davinson Sanchez, who was player of the year for Ajax the year before we signed him. Started in a World Cup for Colombia at the age of like 22, 23. You know, was a very lauded and or respected piece of work at the time, right? There was no Tottenham fans at the time that we signed Davinson Sanchez. We're like, why are we signing this mug, right? And then we did the exact same thing with Ndombele, right? Had one good game against Manchester City in the Champions League, and the whole world goes alight with him on Twitter. It's like, me too. And that's why, right? You can blame Tanguy and Ndombele for my obsession with statistics because it was at that point when we signed that player that I said I will never, ever, ever look at a player or rate a player based
Fall
on
for
hype
that
again. Yeah, I just won't. I won't do it.
The second thing I was going to say, which I saw on We Are Tottenham TV, which I was like, oh, wow, I'm shocked. Not shocked, but I was just like, wow, that's an interesting fact. Van de Ven and Romero have not conceded a single foul this season. I know it's only...
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I know they've not conceded a yellow card, right?
Not yellow and not a foul. They have not conceded.
Not a foul.
They have given Van de Ven has definitely given fouls away. 100%.
Yeah. Well, this is Romero.
I would be surprised.
This is DDV, but on We Are Tottenham TV, they definitely said Romero.
Let me verify.
There's no denying that them
that's
two have been excellent.
If you can verify that, because I was just like, wow.
I'll verify that.
I was astounded. I was astounded by the fact that none of them got a yellow card, but I'd be really astounded if Romero hasn't given a foul away.
But they said Romero has not given a foul. They said that on We Are Tottenham TV. They were giving their ratings, and I was just like, and for me,
maybe in that last game they were referring to, not all the games.
No, they were going for the whole month because they give their monthly rating, and for the month of August, and Ben and Sim they will say, surprise stat, Romero has not committed a foul, and the first game he left with concussion, he scored. And then the rest of the games, I was just like, wow. I was like, that's pretty impressive.
That's what happens when you have a decent partner, right, Mari?
Well, that's exactly what it is, JP, isn't it? We were saying that he's rash because he has to be stuck next to some donkey that can't fucking... You know what? That's the thing. We said this last season. It's like you've got one guy that feels like he has to go in for a tackle because he has to cover everything because he's got a guy next to him that, if you look at his stats, probably hasn't made the tackle all season. The guy just likes to back off. So having
frustrating,
the mental calm of having someone you can rely on next to you, it does wonders for a player. It really does.
It is verified that Mickey Van de Ven and Christian Romero have not committed any fouls so far this season. So
there you go. That is really
this is what I'm saying. You go to work, right, and you know that you're getting paid the same as the next guy, but you're pulling up your weight. At some point during the year, you're gonna blow up. You're gonna lash out, and that's what was happening to him. He was lashing out. It was his way of saying, "This is way over my head here. I'm dying in shit here." But this season, all of a sudden, you bring Udogie in, who is, by the way, he's been for me, he's been a revelation, man, for such a young kid. Could combine attacking and defense. He's really been doing that really well. Right hand side, Porro started off well as well, and then all of a sudden, you guys are right. You find the centre back that you can play as someone who's a little bit on my level. I can say, do you know what? Even if he's younger than him, I say I can work with this guy. I can see what he brings into the team, and all of a sudden, you're able to do your own work, not only as good as you should be, but better, because you're right, Lee. Mental stress is probably allowing him making better decisions in the long run.
What helps as well, though, is VDV's just so calm, and he probably calms him down as well because he's not panicking.
It's combinations. It's a team effort, man. It's a team effort. You're only as good as the team that you surround yourself with. I mean, you can bring your own qualities, but fundamentally, if it's a team game, you need to have people around you that perform to the same wavelength as you. They may not be as good as you, or you may not be as good as them, but at least the mindset is of one that you want the same thing. If you're surrounded by rubbish, man, there's only so much you can hold on, you can go on for before you start blowing up and say, "Fuck it, I'm going."
Yeah.
Well, this is the thingy, and this comes back to the point about why Dyer's contract should be ripped up, right? Because this is that kind of you don't put a stick of dynamite on the ground and stick a match next to the fuse and just hope the wind doesn't blow that way, right? You put the match out. You take away all risk, and that's why he's
but also clearly, you're giving a clear signal saying clean slate.
Yeah, absolutely.
To all of us, they're saying, right, that's it, done, finished. Then it just leaves Davis, and that's it.
Yeah, see, this is the one thing. This is the bit. So just a couple of points of what we've been talking about in the last 10 minutes. For me, Sanchez going out the door is no longer do I have to sit and watch a football match and feel my arse pucker up as much as it does when the ball goes, and not even when the ball goes near his feet. I mean, some of the times last season where you saw that someone put a pass back to him, even with him got no player hunting him down or under pressure, and you see him miscontrol it, it's mind baffling how the guy's a footballer. But you know that he had to go. Whether you have the argument about him or Dyer and backup and who we're going to play, etc., etc. I'd rather, oh God, you might not like this, but I'd rather see Dyer there thumping balls up the pitch than him trying to play with his feet, because it's just it's mind-boggling, and it makes you worry every time he gets the ball at his feet.
It's not his game.
But do you know what has confused me, and I quite happily take an explanation from anyone on this, is why we've let Reggie go to Man United.
Yeah,
because to me, then
100%.
we've only got Ben Davis, because Sessegnon's away in the wind. He's away with the fairies. No one knows when he's coming back. But we've now then got to rely on Ben Davis as a backup left back. And to me, that doesn't make any sense, because you would. Reggie's had his fans, Reggie's had his people that don't like him. I didn't think any issue. I didn't have any issue with Reggie and what he played. I know he got injured and X, Y, and Z, whatever. But I think from a defensive standpoint, he was okay or whatever, and going forward. But I'd rather have him than Davis, given his age and how he's getting on. I really don't understand that.
No, I agree with you, Lee. I found it. You know, why would you, one, loan him to Man United, and two, that just tells you that they potentially see something in him to be that backup for their left side as well. So he must have some quality, and I don't think we've given him a fair crack of the whip, to be honest with you, since
sorry mate, go on.
Yeah, I was just gonna say as well, what's even worse than Davies being the backup there is I think Ange is seeing Davies as the left centre backup and the left back backup. And what's even worse is Sessignon is still there as well. We've still got Sess, and he's
Davis.
Unfortunately, due to him being injured, you can't get rid of him, can you?
Yeah. Davis is covered in both positions. Sessignon, there's no market, and he's injured, and no one's going to take a gamble on someone that can predominantly be out for the rest of the season, even if he comes back into play. And Reguilon, I feel, with the Doji there, he wasn't going to get a look in, and I think he wants to play his football. I think in his mind,
but Luke Shaw is out injured then at the moment?
Yeah, he's injured. I think he's injured. So I think
that makes sense. He was never going to start against ahead of Luke Shaw, was he?
Yeah. Ever. So I think with him out, it just gives the opportunity.
I think that's why they came. That's why they came in for him.
That's why they came in for him, because they needed cover there. Because if you noticed against Arsenal, Dalot played left back, and you know he's obviously a right back. So I think they wanted someone there, and he just thought, you know what? I think Reggie's done at Spurs. I think he's in his mind. I don't think he wanted to come back. I think he just always looked to move on. I don't think, and the fact that got the opportunity to get rid. And listen, I don't think he's gonna. I think Ange made the point of playing Udogie from the start. You know, he's sticking with him, and he's gonna keep. He's actually come back from internationals. He's got a flu apparently, or he's not feeling well. So he had to leave the under-21 squad today. So
maybe that new COVID strain.
well. Yeah. So fuck knows, but he's back. He's on his he left the Italian camp today to head back to London. But look, so because I think the Cucurella was at one point we're going to go to Man United as well, and that didn't happen, and that's when the idea of getting Reguilon. And it looks like he's going to play then, and he's not going to play. He's not going to play with Spurs with the Doji.
And let's face it, he's probably going to make Man United weaker, right?
But the thing is that we find with all these players,
I don't think he'll make Man United.
It's only a temporary fix, because at the end of next season we're going to find these guys coming all back. They're all going to come back. We're going to have to deal with it at some point or another.
Reguilon played well under Jose Mourinho. And it was only until Conte came in he wasn't really
They
flicking
clashed.
in
I
the
think
wing
the
back,
character, yeah, the
in the
character
wing
clash
back
as well.
role. And then for Postacoglu, I heard it was like he was late to training or something like that. So maybe there's a bit of an attitude problem. But that's the thing, is he got tied in with that whole Lo Celso, and you
Yeah.
remember got in trouble during COVID for having a party, and
Yeah. I remember it.
But it's just a shame for that, because I think playing wise, I never had a problem with the way that he played. I mean, yeah, he made mistakes, but so do all of our dang players, for crying out loud.
Well, this is the thing, Will. From if you put Davies and Reguilon together, which one is going to play more like
Udogie, Reguilon, in my opinion.
Exactly, and that's what confused. I mean, it's done. What's done is done now. It's he's there. He's gone.
Maybe he just doesn't want to sit behind anybody. Maybe he doesn't want to fight for his spot. Maybe he's a little,
Yeah.
I don't think he's that
And
good.
And if he knows Luke Shaw's going to be out for a considerable amount of time, he probably feels, you know what, I'm going to get a regular slot there.
Yeah, I'm going to get more time.
For some strange reason, I feel when Reguilon came, I just think he got with the wrong crew or the wrong clique on the team. The Lo Celsos, the ones who, kind of always joking around. Because, I'm not saying no one is allowed to smile or whatsoever, but I always thought that he wasn't like serious about the opportunity playing with us and stuff. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I just had that feeling, and it's just kind of
He came together with Bale, didn't he?
Yeah, he came together with Bale, and then automatically he was hanging out with Lo Celso. Maybe because of the language back,
Connection and that.
Connection.
He got him with the Cribs, but he should have got him with the Bloods.
Yeah. But which is nothing wrong with that, but I just don't think, and with the many coaching changes too, there wasn't like structure, like boom. And that's why, honestly, I heard someone said this a while back, when it comes to scouting and getting a player, and this same goes with Tanguy, you kind of have to go back to where are they coming from, right? If you get a player that's coming from, say, Ancelotti, right? You kind of know, okay, that player, it's a good chance he's disciplined, he knows what to do, because even if a player's a star, perfect example, Tanguy, right? Right? The reports he lacked the discipline. There were reports that he lacked the discipline when he was at Lyon. And so when you look at that, when you look at the sign of player in any sport, you almost look at it like, maybe, yeah, it has talent, but maybe I don't want that player. And so look at Reguilon, right? He was a Real Madrid product, right? Why he didn't work out at Real Madrid? Was it a discipline issue? Like what? Like was he not fully, into it? And mind you, he's in a position where old man Marcelo's playing, right? You want to get the young, the future playing. So why couldn't he overtake Marcelo? And Marcelo's like world class, but so those are things you got to kind of look at. And going forward, we have to hope the board, whoever's in charge of recruiting, we know who it is, looks into that, so we don't fall into that that mistake. But that's how I view Reguilon. I view him that he was never disciplined enough to take the position of being at Spurs serious.
JP, just going back to Richard Knight's comment about he's coming back in January, I was under the I don't know if this actually got finalised. I think was it the clause though that we could recall him or he will be back in January? I can't remember.
Both sides can. Man United, if they no longer want him, can cancel the loan.
Just cancel it, right,
and we, if we need him, can cancel the loan. So there's a loan that after January, if needed. It's a year-long loan, but if either party after the January window decides to end the loan deal, they can end it.
Got you.
Yep. But going back to the Sun thing, because we've hit that hour mark now. We gave an hour to avoid the conversation, but we're going to bring it up for a little bit. So we got Son playing through the middle for the first time in the post Kane era. I mean, it's not the first time that he's played striker for Tottenham Hotspur, but it's the first time in this situation. Richarlison I don't know why, but there are still Richarlison apologists out there. God bless you. Hasn't done anything, but Sonny in his first role there, bags a hat trick, which brings him into. He is now joined the 10. He's in the top 10 for the most hat tricks in Premier League history. He is tied right now with Mohamed Salah for that 10th spot. He tends to tie Mohamed Salah a lot, apparently Golden Boot, and now in the top 10 hat tricks. Erling Haaland, obviously, at 5, in 9th place right now. What a player. 3 hat tricks, and it was only the second time in Premier League history there was 3 hat tricks on the same day.
Yeah.
Or same game week.
Okay.
And then, so it's obvious, like, I don't think there's any Spurs fan that you would say, who would you rather have at striker, Richarlison or Son? Everyone is going to say Son for the most part, except for the weird, not everyone. But I don't want to be accused of using generalizations, right? But for the most part, I think that the consensus among the fan base is that people would rather have Son. Now, there is one thing that I do want to bring up in this whole Son debate with a lot of the crap, and people think it's 6 to 9 months. Like Stell did a short the other day, kind of mudding some wrongins. But it hasn't been 6 to 9 months. It's actually been 2 years. Because if you remember, back when he got the Golden Boot, there was a lot of talk then too. I fought wars then. That's when the whole thing came up. If the Spurs corner started during that season, if you remember, with my infamous debate with another individual, and continued on into that, into last season where he fell down. And I'm gonna put this out there, and if you've been looking at my Twitter for a couple of days or the community section, you'll see that his son, when he was last season, who was poor, horrible, finished, washed, dog doo-doo, whatever bad word was said about him, still scored more goals than 94% of the players in the Premier League, goal scorers in the Premier League, still had more goal contributions, goals and assists, than 95% of people who got a goal and assist in the Premier League, 88% more goals than every other winger in Europe. So, I mean, as Spurs fans, mind you, and looking at the rest of the problems that we have in our club, why is it that our fan base will go in and go after a player who is better than 94% of all of the other players in the league, when we have players like Sanchez, Dyer, in the club? What's wrong with us as a club that we think?
Isn't it just down to simple expectations from previous years? As soon as you see someone drop off, even though the stats say something different, what they see with their eyes,
it's goals,
makes
isn't
them
it?
think exactly.
Right, but if you look at Son over his career, though, he averaged around 11 to 12 goals a season, not 23. Right, if there's an anomaly,
people don't think in absolutes. They just see right now. I don't know what these are. Apologies. Right now,
you got eyes on your finger.
I've got eyes on my fingers. I was playing around with them. You only see 2 things, right? You see what's happening now and what happened before. So you see the last memory of Son is the Golden Boot, the Salah year, 20 goals, etc., and then the repetition of the year after, or it doesn't. That is not doing. He's not doing the same thing. You don't go back and look at the rest of it, so it's just doing a comparison.
What I will also
that comparison is
what I will also say,
he scored 20 goals last year, and this year he's not doing as well, so he's crap. That's it.
But it's also seeing him not, like I say, not hold the ball up, but the ball played to him, and he gets tackled from behind and things like that, and it's little thing. Oh, look, he lost the ball. Look, he lost the ball, as opposed to thinking, well, Son doesn't play like that. He's not a back to goal kind of player. He likes the ball in space, and he likes to run onto it, or he likes to be fed the ball, or give the ball to him at his feet and let him take the defender on. He's not your Kane, or he's not your Andy Carroll or someone like that at all, is he? But he's been asked to play like that, and because he's not doing fantastically well at it, if he's being tackled and things like that, it's easy to pick up oh, he's not doing well, and that probably stays. It to me, it seems like that stays more in people's mind than anything
But is
else.
the criticism my point is though, I understand why people are doing it, right? I understand that. That's not my question, is why are they doing it per se? I'm saying, is it a valid criticism? Where do we get off as a fan base to say when every other team, if you look at every other winger in the Premier League, name 5 wingers who scored 10 goals in the league last year. Name 5.
I think
You
I think
can't.
so.
That's the point.
My answer to your question, Will, is that it's valid to criticize him or evaluate him based on the standards that he set himself on previous seasons. What it's not, where I think that argument or the fan
It's valid to
base's
say
argument,
Son hasn't been as good as last season. That's a valid. That's
Yes,
undeniable,
But
right?
what-
But you
what-
can't
what
say
I think-
Son's poor. He's bad. He's finished. He's
Correct.
washed, right?
and then also not compare him to the other players within the league
His
and around
peers, yeah.
Europe. Yeah, his peers, right? And that's where, taking a little bit of what Lee said, is that a lot of our fan base, what is evident is that they'll see 1 or 2 games, they'll see what the general groupthink is of the fan base, and they'll just go with that. They won't make the assessment themselves.
Yeah, they'll hear some YouTube pundit say something.
Correct,
They'll
yeah.
agree with it. It seems logical to them when they don't know any of the background information, and that's what's going to bring me on to the next point in this conversation about Son.
Before you go to the next point, I would say perception goes a long, long way, and in regards to some, because like I said, the worst thing that happened to us was making the Champions League as a club. The worst thing, in a weird way, was him winning the Golden Boot. Because here's the thing, right? I'm gonna use this person as a perfect example, and I say, Son has made it, and give him an applause. Everybody said last season, Lionel Messi, horrible, terrible, had a bad season. He had over 60 goal contributions last year. Most players on the planet couldn't get that, but he had a bad year because of all those previous years, right? When he has a dip, and Sonny did said, because of expectations, his year last year wasn't good the year previous, but because for any athlete or star, when they hit that echelon and they go below, and even below is better than most people will say, the fans will say it's a bad year. So PSG fans went at him, and even Mbappe, they're like, yo, you had a bad year because they didn't win the Champions League. But in all reality, if you look at their stats, you want their year.
But I don't believe. Hold on. I'm going to rebut this a little bit because I disagree with the fact that people do that. Messi's Messi. People, they may have said that he hasn't been as good, or he's getting older and going down. But they're like, it's still Messi. When you talk about world class, even though he had a bad year, they say Messi's world class. Even if he hadn't had a world class season, there was never any questioning anything that Messi had done. And the thing that really bothers me about this narrative and blah 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 is that when you look at Harry Kane's career at Tottenham Hotspur, who you can't find a fan to talk bad about him, right? How many times I always hear on streams or on Twitter, he's a 30-goal-a-year striker. No, he isn't. He did that twice. So how come there was never a talk about Harry Kane's regression when he scores 30 goals in the league and then the next season it's 19? Which is a bigger drop, by the way, or the same amount of a drop from 32 to 19 that he had back the first time he hit 30 plus goals in a season. The next season he hit 19. How come nobody said that when Son goes from 23 to 10? It's the same gap, the same drop in form.
Look,
because it's Harry Kane and one's Heung-min Son. That's what I'm saying. There's more to this. And the other point that I want to bring up too, and I even have a graphic for this, because I always have graphics. The narrative this season too was for the first 3 games of the season on every other channel, mostly besides this one, was that Son Heung-min wasn't playing good on the left, right? Wasn't playing good on the left this season. Then how come out of all of the top 10 players for total open play chances and secondary chances, Son Heung-min is 16th and has created more chances both set regular chances, direct chances, and secondary chances than James Maddison, who everyone rates as the second coming of Christ. But Son
And
Heung-min
Saka.
has created more chances than Grob, Rodri, Foden, Fernandez, Madison, Saka, and Kovacic this season. And people say that he can't play on the left. Now, I'm fine with him playing in the middle because Richarlison is as bad as he is. I would rather have him there and Richarlison on the bench. But why are people still saying he's washed, can't play on the left, can't do any of those things, doesn't do anything when he plays? Why is this narrative continuing on to even to the people in the chat right now?
I think it's the media, Will, if I'm honest with you, because the media don't give Son the same laudits as all the other players. And I know you've covered this extensively over the last 3-4 years now, Will, but because I think he's an Asian player, I just don't think they give him the kudos that he deserves. I think he's one of Spurs' best ever players.
Oh, I mean, he is. He's the second highest goal scorer in the Premier League era. He's the fourth highest goal scorer in the club's history. He's, he's set records that most Spurs player, the highest scoring winger ever in Spurs history.
And a couple of weeks ago, when I was last on, I said that for me, Son over the last 6-7 years, for me, most of the time he's almost been better than Kane in terms of what he's contributed to the team overall.
Well, he actually has over the last 5 years. Son per 90, when you're talking about minutes played, has contributed more goals per 90 than Harry Kane has over the last 5 years. Goals and assists.
There you go. So
I'm
with you. I don't get it.
I'll make it even simpler for you, Will. It's because what you've just flashed up on screen, people don't see. I know people take the piss out of you for data and all this kind of stuff, right?
I don't go and look.
The average fan doesn't see that in highlights and doesn't see that on Match of the Day, doesn't see it on Sky Sports.
But everything that he's doing there, he has to do it on Match of the Day, and he has to do it in the game in order for it to be on that piece of paper.
Yeah, but listen, it's as simple as this. I watch the highlights and I see what and I've become an advocate for stats since watching you. I know it sounds, I'm not a Will Stewart fanboy. I'm not bigging him up or anything like that. But things that I used to watch this channel. I know, yeah. I used to watch this channel before I ever came onto the panel, and I always used to watch the way that people took the piss about your stats. Yeah, the stats this and stats that. Will sets beyond the stats, all this kind of stuff. Until you showed me, and I was watching one night, the whole Dan Juma thing, and everyone going, "Oh yeah, he's great. He does this and does that." And then you came out, well, yeah, against a second-rate team from a team in Greece or someone like that, he looks fantastic. But let's be honest, it's like playing a third division team in the English league. And then all of a sudden, it's like, I get it now. And but to go back to the point about Son's stats, yeah, you might be watching the match or you might be watching highlights, but they're not sitting there writing down the numbers. Therefore, that thing goes really quickly, and you don't realise. I mean, if you said to me, did you watch it and did you understand that Son had, X amount of chances over the last 4 games and he's done more chances than this X, Y, and Z? I'd say I wouldn't have a clue, Will. I had no idea.
But that's what I'm saying. So then why are people saying he's bad? If they don't have a clue, they shouldn't say he's poor.
It's easy to criticise, isn't it?
It's
literally easy. It's the easy way out, isn't it?
But they'll literally argue it. They will literally argue. Like, there's people in the chat going on right now, like this Oliver fellow, right? And who's infamous for it. Right, saying their legs are gone. I would like somebody to tell me how fast Son ran in the season that he scored 23 goals when his legs weren't gone to how fast he runs now, and show me the drop that he's lost in pace. Right? And people, what I don't understand is people don't also realize that Yves Bissouma is the number 1 player as far as successful take-ons and take-on attempts in the club. Who's number 2? Son. Not anyone else. So where are the legs gone from? This is what I'm saying. People always assert all of these things that aren't true and then call me a fanboy, right? Because I'm simply pointing out how actually they don't know what they're talking about.
You are a fanboy of Son, though.
I'm not. I was a Tottenham supporter. I'm not. I am a Tottenham supporter. I was a Tottenham supporter before Son got here, and I'll be a Tottenham supporter after Son got here. I am a truth fanboy. That's what I am.
I was just really quickly saying that Spurs have officially said, Turkish side Galatasaray, we've reached an agreement for Davinson Sanchez.
Well,
Official.
thank you very much.
Wishing you all the best for the future.
I'm just saying, if I'm the president of the Sun fan club, don't usually the presidents of fan clubs get like flown out to meet and greets and do? I ain't got nothing. I ain't got
all
nothing.
I'm gonna
Son,
say
where
is-
you at,
Yeah,
man?
but Chris
Where you
Calvin-
at, son?
Yeah,
You
Davinson
guys-
Sanchez.
Yeah.
You got to find Chris Calvin.
Wait, invite on this. Yeah.
I'm just going to
And I
say,
speak
Davinson
Korean, too.
Sanchez, thank you. Thank you for leaving because my arsehole has never felt so relaxed. Thank you.
Okay.
Well,
I think,
we gotta
I think
follow
there's certain players
follow
that
the Chris Calvin playbook of getting perks from the team, Sunny perks. You gotta follow Chris Calvin. He does it well.
So, just to extend on the Sunny conversation, I think now's the time. Listen, I think that I know who I think my front three should be. I know who I think how it would work best. I think now's the time where Sonny will start declining a bit. He's going to have to start thinking like Kane in terms of how can I manage myself going forward and how can I adapt and to the situation. Now, I personally think you just play him through the middle because you people have seen the whole, he can't control the ball here and he can't take it round players. Well, that's why we've got Solomon and that's why we've got Johnson. That's the reason we've got those guys in now. But there's one thing that he is absolutely head and shoulders above than anyone else is his finishing. He's you put him in front of goal and he's absolutely prolific finisher. And I think that's, I hope, no, I don't think, I hope, and my opinion is that we stick with Sonny up front and Charleston just has to, I mean, how many chances can you give that guy, really?
Yeah, Son
He
has
can't
to
go back.
to
He
look
can't
at
go back
the,
to Richie, can he?
Yeah.
He can't go back to
No.
Richie after Son getting a hat trick.
Son has to look at himself and think, right, what have the great strikers or forwards done as they've aged and how have they adapted their game going forward? And I hope
wingers.
that
Messi
he
end up
does
playing
that.
in a false nine.
Yeah,
Ronaldo end up
absolutely.
playing as a striker.
Ronaldo, Bale.
That's fine.
you know,
Look,
you
I have no problem. I have no problem with Son playing in that striker role, especially with Richarlison as being the other option, right?
Oh,
I would rather
Richarlison.
have JP play striker than Richarlison right now. And I've never
Get
even
your
seen
boots
JP
on,
play
JP.
football.
I've scored a few goals in my head.
There you
believe
go.
me.
Boom. That's more than Richarlison's done because he hasn't even scored a few.
I think, I'm not sure the stats would have this, and will feel free to correct me. I'm sure you will, right? But in terms of what I see from Son is possibly his reactions and his acceleration and his turn isn't as, it happens when you get older, right? You don't accelerate quite as quick. You're not, your reaction time isn't quite as on point as it was before. That's what I'm seeing from Son. But you substitute that with game intelligence. I mean, look at Sheringham. I mean, he was so slow, but he thought so far ahead of every other player that he managed to get himself where he needed to be at the right time, and hence he was a brilliant player. So it'd be good to see Son adapt, especially now he's got responsibility.
Or maybe, right, it's difficult to have the same agility you had when you've got a groin hernia.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, there's that. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, if it's true that he had surgery on his groin, which is basically, for people that don't know, that muscle right there by your bits in kibbles, right?
Yeah, I also
when
think
you turn, every time you turn or move your leg, you get a sharp pain like someone's stabbing you with a knife in your ball sack.
Bollocks. Yeah.
I'm just saying, maybe you're not going to be as agile. Maybe, just maybe. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but
I was going to say too. I think what people are missing too is just that. All right, for perfect example, Solomon, started slow on Saturday, but he ended up with 2 assists, right? So Solomon has 2 assists, I think more than Sonny. People are forgetting Sonny will have 3 or 4 assists if Richarlison would have finished his dinner, as we say in the States.
Yeah, if Son was playing the ball to Son would have had 2 or 3 or 4 assists. Exactly. That's the whole point, right? Son made Solomon look good, by the way, because Son had 3 shots on target, right? He had 5 in total. 2 of those got blocked. 3 shots on target and 3 goals, right? Does Solomon walk away from yesterday or on Saturday's game with 2 assists if Richarlison was the one receiving those balls? Hell no.
Yeah. And so the thing is, so if Son is assisting to Son, he will have assists, but Son's assisting to Richarlison, and so you're not getting any assists from Son or Kulu, because Richarlison is crap. Now it's going to be interesting if the second half, if Valise comes in, and Valise is effective, because the thing is, good. Thank God we have one game a week, right? Because it would be a more bigger problem if Sonny had to play the striker role without getting any rest if we had Europe and along with the other tournaments, domestic competitions that we're in. But it's going to be really interesting later in the year because as the stat shows, he had opportunities to get assists, just that Richarlison is dog crap.
The drop in levels when Richarlison came on to Son was
Huge,
unbelievable.
yeah.
It was huge. The game slowed down so much. All of a sudden, when we were going forward, it wasn't as fluid. The passes were poorer. He's just not a good player. I want him to
the
be
speed
good, but
in the
he's not.
game in the previous 2 games when Sud slid into the middle in the last 20 minutes, the tempo went up both times, right? So you have multiple historical factors that allow you to make a rational, abductive argument for Richarlison not being in. But this is the thing too that I understand. Like I understand people having personal opinions. I'm never against that. I never rail against opinions. I think Son is this, or I think this could be the case. I could be wrong, but this is what I think. I'm okay with that. What I do have a problem with though is people having a confirmation bias when they've literally been shown. So like if I show you, if you Son's crap, he can't play on the left wing. He doesn't do anything when he's on the pitch. And then I literally show you that he's created more chances than even James Maddison, who people say is great. Or if I show you the statistics of Son's performances versus Solomon's performance, and they're virtually identical. Solomon was great, and Son hasn't been this year on the left. Then you're literally, because now you're lying. You know what information is the truth. And if you continue to say that he's bad or poor, you're just a liar now. You're a slanderer. You become a hater, right? There's one thing to just say, oh, I haven't seen it. I don't really have an opinion. But when you know the truth and you continue to propagate a lie, you're a hater. You hate Son. It's not just an opinion anymore.
Look, for me, all I'm going to say, I'll be very brief on it because I've heard what you guys are about to say on the matter. The one thing the Suns still has is finishing abilities. If he gets 2-3 chances a game, he's going to slot one of them, at least one of them in. So his finishing, if he gets the opportunities, he will bury them. With age catches us all. It doesn't matter who you are. Age will catch us all eventually. So we nobody is oblivious to the fact that with the years that pass, something will lose along its way, and it'll be no different for Son. Right now. But listen, if people choose to ignore the stats, it is what it is. If people just want to go just to disagree for the sake of disagreeing, even when proven with the facts, then it's just opinions. It's just, all it comes down to is just opinions. You're going to agree and you're not going to agree. You're not going to change. People are just going to disagree with what's been said, or even when shown the stats, it's still disagree with it. It's because something deeply fundamentally is wrong with what they're seeing. People that want to bring up and say that someone's bad last season, I can tell you straight away, with the exception of Harry Kane last season, everybody was poor. Everybody last season was poor, and Son, for his own standards, and who self-admittedly that it wasn't his finest season, still contributed than anybody else that had an okay season.
With
a
hernia.
Is the point. Yeah, and with a hernia. And this is the point. I will still have Son in the team because even him not at his best, he still
better
contributes
than-
more than
exactly.
someone who's playing better,
Behind him.
or somebody that's supposedly playing more informed, or someone who's quicker, or somebody who can take on players. He still contributes to goals and assists more than any other player. So I would choose to have him in the team. I would still choose him to have him in the team now because I know the drop off when Son is not in the team is far greater than when he's in the team. So for me, even at the eye test, should tell you that. Even with someone not playing, what if he's not having a great touch? If he's not taking on his man, what does he still contribute to the team? He still assists and he still scores. So therefore, that's a valid reason to have him in
Still
because he's still
creates,
assisting.
still builds up
It still
plays.
creates, still builds up play, still scoring goals. So for me, even if his all-round game is shit and he's still contributing in scoring goals or creating goals, he's still worth having the team than having somebody else who's more pleasant to the eye but doesn't contribute to shit all. So for me, it's not the stats speak for themselves. His contribution speaks for himself. The goal speaks for himself. So anything beyond that, you just don't like the player. That's fine. You know what? I don't have a problem with somebody saying to me, I don't like the player. I don't think he's all that. I just don't like him. There's players in the Spurs squad that I don't like because I tell you the other thing. This is the other.
I don't like Iggy, but I
That's
talk
fine.
to him every week.
But the problem you got is very simple. Okay. When you have average, no, it's cool. When you have average players, average players tend to do average. You get the average display every now and again. They'll give you a good game, 2 good games, and then a drop to their average shit that they offer you. So you don't get to get annoyed with them that much because they give you nothing but average, bang average, and with the odd performances here and there. So you don't get angry at those players and want them out of your club. What you do tend to do as a fan base is people that constantly deliver high season after season. When they drop off, you let them know about it. Instead of actually saying, you know what, the last 10 years, without Kane and Son, where the hell would we have been? Where the hell would we have been without those two guys playing together?
In a bad place, isn't it?
Bad place. But instead of saying, do you know what, I've got these 2 gems, let me surround them by 3, 4, 5 other really good players to allow these gems to really sparkle. Instead, we just always surrounded them by absolute mediocrity. This time around, and I'm convinced that if Son carries on playing through the middle, which I don't have a problem if he goes out wide because he still contributes. He still contributes to the team, defending, helping Udogie or helping the left back whenever it's needed. He contributes a lot
creating
off
chances,
the ball. Off the ball as well as on the ball and the chance of creating chance. He will always contribute to the team, and it always, in my eyes, he always puts the team ahead of himself. And for a forward, I'm telling you, you can't buy that, mate. You cannot buy the fact that when a centre forward or a forward playing puts the team ahead of himself, for me is just a gem on its own when that happens. So for me, playing him through the middle for me this season is the only way. One, because of the reason you just said, Richarlison just simply ain't the real deal. But also, I feel with Maddison playing real close to him, this guy. Son, like I said, he'll get 3-4 chances a game. He will slot 50%, 35, 40% of the chances away. If he gets 3-4 chances, he will put 2 away. And with Maddison close to him, he's going to get a lot of chances. And for me, at the end of those chances, I want to have a number 9 in Son because Richarlison's not going to guarantee me a goal. And moving forward for the next game, right now, and you guys have coached teams, you've been part of managing teams. I'm sorry, but if your last striker that you played up front has banged you a hat-trick and the other forward that you've been playing for the last 2 or 3 games hasn't even had the sniff on goal, it's a no-brainer. You play the guy that's going to give you the goals.
So I just want to say, Oliver Dots, you're free to leave the show, man. You can just go if you want to, right? Lee doesn't run the show. He doesn't direct where the conversation goes. I love Lee. All the best. If you're bored with the topic, you know what? Just hit the X button and walk out, right? That's all you got to do, man.
It's boring you.
I am the mastermind behind the whole thing, though.
You can't speak for everybody. It may be boring for
He's
you.
the brains.
But we are going to talk about a player because the forward situation is an issue at Spurs.
Right, and we're talking about it this season.
Yeah,
this
Richarlison,
season.
the last 4 games that we've been playing, has delivered 0. The chances he had at Bournemouth, where he could be burying it on the first time, he's had to take 3 other chances to get 3 other touches to get nearer the goal to finish it off. We've been not just us, but there's been other people as have been saying we should play Sonaldo, whatever you want to call him, Sonny, through in the middle. And in his first chance at doing so, he's delivered a hat trick. And now we want to piss on it by saying, well, there were tap-ins, or it was only Burnley.
And that's what I'm saying. Like the tap-in narrative. Were any of the goals that he scored on Saturday a tap-in? Not a single one.
No, they're great.
Right? You had him picking the ball up outside of the 18-yard box, dribbling in for the second one, a chip, which is not a tap-in, by the way, one of the most difficult skills in football to do. For the first one, and the third one was a complete and utter amazing pass from Pedro Porro, right? That lands in his stride. He beats the center back in pace and then buries it from, 12, 13 yards out. None of them were tap-ins, not a single one. So where does this tap-in narrative come from?
It fell on his lap. What essentially they're trying to say is that all fell on his lap.
But the second goal didn't fall on his lap. Neither did the first one.
It doesn't matter that he got himself in that position. It doesn't matter the timing of his run to get himself in a position where he can receive the ball. That doesn't matter.
Or holding his run behind 5 or 6 defenders and sliding it away for the second goal. It doesn't matter.
None of it matters. None of it matters because what I'm beginning to understand with some of the comments is that we choose to accept what we want to accept. It doesn't matter if it's the right thing. It doesn't matter if statistically it's the right thing. It doesn't matter. It just we're still gonna. Do you know what?
Let me ask you another question though. This is unrelated.
I hope he plays Richarlison. I hope he benches Son next game. I hope he plays Richarlison. Maybe what is the argument here? Like.
I don't know what the argument against Son is.
We don't want Son in the team. We don't want him to like.
I've only been a Spurs fan.
I've
only been a Spurs fan. I've only been a Spurs fan for what? I guess this is my 11th season, right? Being a Spurs fan. And in the 11 years, I've never seen another player who accomplishes what they accomplish and gets dogged on as much as they do. Has there ever been a player before this who was actually really good? Like one of the best players on the team and got so much hate?
Oliver, we started talking about Son on the hour mark, and we're now 31 minutes in. So the fact that you say we've been speaking about him for the last hour is actually incorrect.
It's a lie.
Thanks for the stats,
him on the hour. So we're 31 minutes in talking about our forward.
Iggy coming out with the stats now.
If we're gonna come, no, but the thing is, you argue with facts. You don't argue with just for the sake of arguing.
And now you get really personable. What's so unique about our channel is our channel has been honest, and everybody. What's unique is we have 5. Well, today we have 6, but we usually have 5 people who contribute to the channel. Each is their own individual. So, so for you doing that, you're just trolling. And like I said, if you want to hear Echo Chamber, you could go to the other channels. You can freely go. If you want to hear an echo chamber, you won't hear echo chamber on this channel. Definitely won't hear.
And calling Iggy the son and Stell the Cane is not an insult to Iggy, because that means he produces more than Stell. He benefits the club more than Stell. He brings in more revenue than Stell. Right? So big up Iggy, man.
And I will still not give a shit.
If you want to move on, though, I've got a question. When we move on, that someone posted. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but it's actually a really good question.
I want the answer to that question. Has there ever been another player that played for this club who has been the best or the second best player at the club that got as much hate and vile from the fans as Heung-min Son gets?
I'd say it's difficult because the amount of social media that there is around now compared to back in the day.
Even in the press and the media, right? A player that produced week in, week out, but literally always got dogged on as being.
I see it more online, man. I don't see it as. I've been at the home stadium many a times. I don't see the hate for Son more so than what I see it more on YouTube. I see it more on Twitter. I see it more on in this world, in a virtual world, than I see it in a stadium. Mate, when Sonny scores, you should see the singing that goes off in the stands, the flags come out. Nice one, Sonny. Nice one, Son. You know, you get the songs all the time, and he's there with. So I don't see it. This on away fans, yes, but not the home fans. I don't see that in the
I
stadium.
mean,
This is more an online thing.
Yeah, but I mean, online is where nobody's having a conversation about Son on the day in the seat at the stadium, right? Like nobody's saying like, "Oh, what did you think about Son's performance today?" You know, "Oh yeah, his first touch is horrible," and blah 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 blah.
No, those haters would be.
I normally have a chat with the guy next to me about all the players.
I know Defoe got some stick, and I'm a big Defoe fan, huge Defoe fan. Big up to my Island boys. He got some stick during the times where he didn't show up, but I still say it's more of social media. Like I said, I'm not at the stadium, so I don't know. It's a big difference if you get booed at the stadium, like Sanchez, than online. But
yeah, no, you don't get a lot at the stadium. You don't get a lot at games. It's not as much as
right, but you have to understand that at the
stuff.
stadium, at the games, is the minority. It's not the majority, right? There's only 66,000 people at the stadium. There are millions of people online, right?
I mean, look, see, this is. I will show your comments. No one's gonna block you. No one's gonna. You're. But what the hell has this got to do? Who he supported as a kid? What has that got to do with his Tottenham?
I think
career?
he's saying that's why he was hated.
That's why Defoe got crap.
That's where there was a. That's why there was a dislike.
Yeah, the majority literally are online.
It was literally about. Yeah, 100%.
what?
It was literally the Keen Defoe
talk about my Island boy Defoe.
Yeah, but Bergkamp was a Spurs fan because his idol was Hoddle. What has that got to do with his success at Arsenal?
I will say this:
I don't understand, Oliver. Honestly, I don't understand.
Kane gets a lot of hate for being Mr. England outside of the Spurs.
Stop biting, Nicky.
He gets a lot of hate because now people are saying, "Oh, that's smart of him to go to Bayern."
All right, okay.
But I mean, because it just because, like, for example, I really love Lucas Moura, right? I thought I was a huge Lucas Moura fan. I was a huge Dele Alli fan, right? To be right now, if you were to go in my closet and you were to look at shirts, I have the names on the back of 2 of my shirts over the past 11 years. Dele Alli and Gareth Bale. That's it. I don't have a Sun shirt. Don't own one. Believe it or not, I do not own a Sun shirt. Not a single one. JP has more Sun shirts than I do. My son has a Sun shirt, right? I don't own a Sun shirt. Don't own one. I have a photograph of him and Harry Kane hugging. I have a signed photograph of Harry Kane all by himself. I don't have a signed photo of Heung-min's son by himself. I don't. This is not about that. But when people would talk bad about Lucas Moura, did I say anything? Did I bring it up and argue it? No, because it was true. Right? The numbers backed up what they were saying. Their criticisms of Lucas Moura were accurate. Right? I love Sergio Reguilon. Do I defend him? I defend him when it comes to certain areas, right?
Yes,
like saying he can't cross or he's not good going forward, right? Did I stand up for Højbjerg when everybody was dogging on him, saying he was absolute trash, and I show the stats that show he's actually a better player than Declan Rice. He's got these passes. I just stand up for the truth, right? The only thing that bothers me about Son is that, like, literally, even in the worst season that he ever had, he was better than 94% of the league. 94%.
Yeah, this is the difference between me and you, Oliver. I don't take players into my heart. I don't. I take players for what they are.
Exactly.
They are employees of the club who are there to do a job. And Defoe for Spurs did that in abundance. We celebrated
3 times, wasn't it? Like 3 times in the end.
Celebrated every single goal that he scored. And for me, Defoe did what he had to do, was score goals for Spurs, and he made sure that more often than not, at the end of his goals per game, often that game will result into a win. If you had a good day, Defoe, our games turned into wins. That's a fact. So for me, what past he had, I couldn't give two shits. But that goes for him and any other player. I don't get attached to the players. That's where I differ with a lot of Spurs fans, I have to say. Where a lot of Spurs fans do get attached to the player, I don't. But I will defend.
I don't either.
I will defend what I feel is right. And at the moment, regards to Son, at least, because this has been a point of this conversation, and we will speak about other stuff for sure. I feel that it's unjust that we just keep targeting a player who has delivered year after year after year, and even at his worst, he's still been better than some of our best. That should make us reflect. That should make us reflect. That's all I'm saying.
I agree 100%. And that's all we got. That's all we got for that.
Move on.
Talk about
Move on.
expectations, because that's a good topic, right? You know,
Mari, can I just jump in with my question that I said that I was going to have about 5
go
minutes?
for that.
yeah.
So, a couple of questions that have popped up in the chat actually, and I just want to get your guys' view on this. And this is surrounding Bentancur. So, about 3 weeks ago, we heard that they were targeting end of August, September time for him to potentially start coming back training.
Yeah.
We're now hearing from Ange from his press conference the other day that he said it's more likely November. So just so everyone knows, we don't know. There's too many dates being thrown around, but I think it's always been November as a potential. Yeah. But question that came up in the chat earlier, and I think it's a really, really good question, and I'd love to hear everyone's opinion. When he eventually comes back, and with the way that the three, Maddison, Sarr and Basuma, are bossing that midfield, where does he fit in?
That's a good question, because there's a couple of factors. One of the factors is that we have two guys who are about to go play the AFCON in January. They're going to miss 3 or 4 games, depending how far they go in the AFCON in January into early February. He will have to, if Ange is saying what he's always said since day one, he's going to have to work for his spot. He's going to have to work for his place. Now, the one that he may replace is still Sarr, in my opinion.
100% Sarr.
Because he will probably replace Sarr, only because
he's got to earn it, though.
Yeah, he's got to earn it. Yeah, but he's gonna have to earn it. But the one I think right now currently is the weakest link out of the three will probably be Sarr, because Bentancur is excellent on the ball. His passing is good, and like I said, if he goes back to before his injury, Bentancur for me was the player of the year before the World Cup, before he got injured, right?
Not just to you, statistically, he was the best player.
You guys, you guys that have watched the matches, just to follow up, for you guys that, because as I said, I haven't watched a full match because I've been away, etc. So, explain to me how those three are playing in what positions. Who's the obviously Maddison's probably the furthest forward, right? And
the 10.
Go backwards.
Yeah, you got Sarr's the box to box, and
playing 8,
and Basuma is the playmaker, if you like.
Yeah. So which one is sort of sitting more defensively than the other? Basuma. Okay. And so Sarr fits into that box to box role more.
Yeah,
sorry. Bentancur.
Yeah. So even in the Conte double pivot in midfield, you had Højbjerg who sat deeper, and it was Bentancur who was getting forward and scoring goals and making the late runs in the box, and was the person to step up from that midfield to press in the front line, right? So Bentancur has played in that 8 role more than the other two. For example, I see if Højbjerg is sticking around this season, Højbjerg is a backup for Basuma. Bentancur, if he comes back, and if he's the same player that he was before he blew out his ACL, then he needs to be that 8. And then I think
Sarr is basically the one then.
I don't think, I mean, this is all on the assumption that Bentancur comes back and he's the same player. Yeah. However, if he is the same player, I don't think it's going to take much for Bentancur to get back in the team, because let's have it
100%.
right. He was our best player before he got injured, and Bentancur does have the ability to grab the game by the scruff of the neck and really make things happen. I think Sarr is still learning his craft, and there'll
He's
be
only,
no
what,
better.
19, 20 too. So I mean, he's got time.
Absolutely, and there'll be no better person for Sarr to learn off than someone like Bentancur, especially if he's playing well. So I don't think it's a bad thing for Sarr to lose his place, as long as he loses it on merit and not just loses it just because it's a name.
We don't know. It's
I think
really
it will
hard.
take a long. I think it'll
Mm.
take a while for Bentancur to
Yeah,
kind of
I
like. I'm
agree.
sure he'll be eased back anyway. But just really quickly, so Ndombele's also
See you
gone
later.
now. Loan.
Yeah, that
Um,
was. He's
Smirk
already in
on Iggy's
Turkey.
face there.
And Dembele's already
Mate,
in
I'm
Turkey.
going.
And this is
Yeah.
all pending if Bentancur returns to form. We all know it's a serious injury, but
it's going to take time, isn't it?
It seems like it's been intense his rehab, and so that's good and encouraging. But if, like I said, this is pending if he returns back to the form before he.
But that
gets
will
injured.
require time. It will require time. It will require game time. It will require him letting the fears leave him when he comes across a challenge or a 50-50 ball. These are the kind of it's the problem you got with the players that had big injuries. A lot of them are more psychological than they are physical, because physical that's exactly the part that they're training for right now, to find their best physical shape. For then the games will give you the form, but that's the psychological part that's
you know
the
what,
biggest
Iggy?
in the 50-50 challenges. Will I get hurt again? That once he surpasses that part of it, then he can really step it up, get more minutes, and then grow into getting to that team. So it all depends on that. The qualities of the player are undeniable. I don't think we have another player in the squad with those characteristics. I think he's a brilliant traveller of the ball. He's able to pick up the ball from deep and go from defence into attack, and he glides with that ball. So I think he'll be a great link
He's
between
another
Bissouma.
one to happy to
Yeah,
receive it as well, isn't he?
Because
but
what?
receiving it under pressure, he'll be brilliant, and it'll be another outlet to have to receive the ball under pressure other than Bissouma. So for me, it will be a great addition to have, but it all desperately depends on how he comes back. And the fact that they've delayed it, I heard the same thing. I thought he was going to start getting minutes mid-September, October time. He would already be on the team playing, but now they've obviously extended it. Maybe there's something he's not ready.
I think
one
people
thing
got
I'll
that
say
wrong.
really-
I was just going to say, I think those dates were wrong. I think it was always going to be November. I think the September-August date was potentially just when he's going to start training again with the
get back
first
into
team,
training.
but not actually gain minutes.
Well, he was asked.
because-
He was asked outside
Yeah,
the
apparently
training ground.
he was
Well, he
trying
wants
to get
to,
in.
doesn't he? He's
he
absolutely
was trying to
chomping at the
get
bit
into
to get back
training.
into it. But the medical team apparently don't want to let him get back into first team training just yet.
I think what's happening is that in his head, I think he's ready to be September, October, and the medical team are respecting the times given originally, so there's no hype being like by us saying, well, we expect him back in September, October. They're saying, no, we're going to take November, and if it happens before, it's a bonus. But not like you expect him September, October, and then there's a delay. There's no delay. They're just respecting the times given for the player to recuperate properly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just given what you were saying about the psychological part of the game, Iggy, I truly think that that's the problem Sessa's got. Because when he got his injury a couple of years ago and he came back, he always looks nervous. He doesn't
thing
look
is,
as
he
if
keeps breaking
he's
down.
truly into it.
He's always
No, I know,
injured,
but
JP. He's always nervous.
Yeah, but I think he's
That's what's on the team.
he's worried.
He
He's
plays
worried
with
about
handbrake
getting
on.
kicked again.
We've
He's worried about
had this
getting kicked and
conversation
getting hurt again, and
regarding
just
his
being out again.
hammies.
But it happens.
Yeah, it happens all
Muscular
the time.
injuries are a little bit different than ligament injuries, though. Ligament injuries tend to, you tend to not feel as nervous because you don't feel them in the same way. So when you have muscle strain injuries, you get that nagging, aching. You feel them, right? Even if they're not particularly injured at the time. But ACLs, if right? And nowadays, like 10, 15 years ago, ACL would have ended any athletic career.
Yeah.
Nowadays, the way that the medical technology has increased, you've got players that are coming back and not even skipping a beat. Sometimes they come back stronger because of the rehab, got the leg muscles, the calf muscles, or not the calf muscles, the quad muscles that support the knee.
They're able to get you back. The doctors will get you back to say, we will make sure that your ACL becomes whole again, and we will get you back to playing. How and what level that you return back to playing at is a different conversation.
Yeah, it's up to the individual, right? But I'm talking physically, the physical comfort that you get returning from an ACL is more, I guess you could say it's more comfortable because you're not feeling it. You're not feeling pain anymore. Because what they do with an ACL is they actually have to, reconstruct that ligament altogether, or maybe even put in plastic, an artificial one. It's different than a muscle injury where you still have those same muscles. You can't replace the muscles in the body, so you feel muscle injuries differently. And hamstrings, are a tricky one, unfortunately.
I think another thing as well is it was on his weaker foot, wasn't it? It wasn't the foot he plays the most. It was on his left foot, wasn't it, rather than his right foot?
Yeah.
Or is it the other way around? But yeah, it was on his weaker foot. So hopefully that has a positive.
Here's the question I have, right? So we've got 10 points out of 12, right? Which is more than I expected, coming into the season. And now, between Twitter, the various channels, which is good. Everybody's excited. But has expectations changed? Like, for example, you have people already talking about the Arsenal game, forgetting that we're playing Sheffield United, which I'm seeing that that's not a good thing, good thing. Ange and the boys, they're going to look at every game. Because I take things now more than ever, one game at a time. One game at a time, especially this season. My expectations, were low. And right now we exceeded it, but I still want to have those expectations. That's the reason why I say I want the young players like Phillips, Belize, Dorrington to be able to play, because this is supposed to be a free pass of the year. But with expectations of getting 10 out of 12, right? And we're up there. Has expectations changed for you guys? That's the question.
No,
Mari. What should our expectation be? Because my expectation is progress. That was you can clip it. I said my only thing I wanted to see is an identity, which is part of the progress of where this team is going to go. So far, so good in a small sample space. So I pose that question to you guys. What are your expectations?
Yeah. I agree with you. It should be progress. We need to learn as a fan base. Jose Mourinho came in, he done brilliant, and then the wheels fell off. Conte came in, he done brilliant, and the wheels fell off. Nuno came in, done brilliant for 3 games, and the wheels fell off. We've just got to see how things go and temper our expectations. And as you said, this is the start of a rebuild. I'm not expecting us to qualify for the Champions League, win a cup or anything. I'm just seeing how he builds the team and the consistency of our performances. That's all I'm expecting for this season, and obviously us not to get relegated. But that's my expectation anyway.
I think I would say, Mari, probably at the start of the season, I was expecting us to maybe finish around 7th, 8th. If we qualified for Europe, that would be a bonus. But I think my main requirement or aim for the season was literally to get those foundations in. And if we're going to treat this as a new plan and a new project, new manager, new style, young players, yada da da da, the guy needs time. He seems to have accelerated that from what we can see so far. The squad seems to have gelled together really quickly. They all seem to be on board with the style and the way he wants to play. So I would say he has accelerated it. So I can see the giddiness of fans happening, but it's only 4 games. It's not like even halfway through the season or anything like that. It's like literally just 4 games. So I think it's from expectation-wise for everyone, they just be happy with 1-4 games, be happy with playing a nice style of football, an exciting style of football, as
Let's not
Lee
get
was
carried
saying.
away.
Lee was saying earlier, right? Yeah, exactly, Iggy. Lee was saying earlier, he looks forward to a game now, as opposed to going, oh, all right, Spurs are playing.
Yeah.
So is that part of it you can get excited about? You can get excited about the style of play and stuff like that. But I think looking for anything like bloody Champions League or anything like that, personally, I ain't going in for that. If it happens, it's a bonus. I literally want to
Well,
see this
we
team
can
play
see where we're
together.
at come March, April. We'll see where we're
Yeah.
at then. Right now, we have to be really fortunate not to get injuries in key areas. I feel like if we get an injury in midfield, we might be able just to deal with it on a short term. I feel like we're really vulnerable in the central part of our defence if we get any injuries there, and same can be said up front as well. You know. We would hoping that we would have, like, you know, something happened to Madison. Is Lo Celso already up front? Son. I mean, and that would be very interesting if we were. Hopefully, it doesn't happen. But if we were to lose to Son, do we have it in it? Obviously, Brennan Johnson. We have to talk about Brennan Johnson as well. If we can't afford to lose anyone that scores goals, and at the moment, if you take away the fact, okay, Son's just now scored a goal, Kulusevski scored a week before, but generally it's like we have to have a massive contribution from a lot of players, including the midfielders, to chip in with the goals. Because we did lose an absolute animal in front of goal this summer, so there has to be a massive contribution from everybody, not just the ones that we expect, like Son and so forth. So
it looks like it's coming though, Iggy. It looks like it's coming.
We have to be game by game. We're creating a lot. We're creating a lot. Sunday,
Romero's got 2 goals so far this season. Pape Sarr, Madison, Gulu's. You know.
Yeah.
So they are chipping in. So that whole 30 goal by Kane, it's no longer look. At the end of the day, if he was there, he'd probably bag a shitload of goals, right? Kind of like playing in like this style, you would like to think. So his 30 goals could still be 30 plus on top of what we get. But you're right in terms of the fact that we're making more chances gives everyone also an opportunity to get on the end of them, right?
But this is what I'm saying. We just have to go game by game. We can't get carried away because it's only, like I said, 4 games in the season. So we've not played a huge amount. We will see where we're at come sort of Christmas, January time, and then for that business, and this is the business part of the season is like around March, April time. That will be when the pressure's really on, and we'll see how our team by that point responds to the pressure, because we don't know right now this team how it responds when the pressure's on. At the moment, everything's free flowing. It's that honeymoon period. You know, everything's going our way right now. So enjoy the ride for now, because the difficult times will be in the season for everybody. They will be there. So we'll see how that goes.
Because there is obviously the African Nations Cup, which is going to be a testing point. Plus, also Son goes away, right? Because he's also in, like, they also have a
middle of January to middle of February, I think.
So it's like literally Jan games and Feb games. I know we've only got a couple of Prem games in Jan, right? But then that's when like the FA Cup starts.
We took care of that.
I think it's 4 games for all 3 players. So you got Basuma, Sarr, Son, and they'll all miss about 4 games.
I think
depending on if they both go to the finals, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think
but we got like Man United in there, haven't we? We got Man.
You got Brighton. You got United. Brighton, United. I think 2 quite important games. But I think someone was saying last night, Basuma, there's a potential that he might. I hate to say it the way that I'm going to say it, but he might only miss 1 or 2 games just purely because the team that he's playing in is crap. So you might see him back early. But the likes of Sonny,
Senegal will probably be close to the final. South Korea will make it at least to the semi-final in the Asian Cup. So
exactly. So it's Sarr and Sonny that we've got. Sonny's the one that worries me, because obviously then you've got Richarlison, but I think hopefully by then Bentancur,
we shouldn't be worried.
We should be fine.
We should be fine. We've got Richarlison.
Brennan Johnson, Solomon,
we worry when we come in the team. We worry when he is in the team. What's the problem? A
Well,
lot
he
of
doesn't
fans will
play
be
the Arsenal
happy
game,
when he's
right?
not in. If he goes away for a month, a lot of the fans will be happy in January, so it won't be an issue.
Wait, he
What I'm
missed
saying,
the
the-
Arsenal game.
is it a problem, Sonny, not being in the team?
Yeah, I'm blocking that guy.
Well, you'd hope not. Well, the thing is,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's the timeline, isn't it? That's your timeline for Bentancur. You want to get him back, get some minutes under his belt by the time the likes of Sarr go to the cup, because then you've got a ready-made backup there, haven't you? Even if he's only had a couple of 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, just to get him back into the swing of things. Hopefully by that time he can start playing full 90
Well, we've
minutes
got Brennan
and take over.
Johnson. Brennan Johnson can play as a false nine
Centre,
and
yeah,
stuff like that.
Yeah, we got
Yeah.
Brennan Johnson, and I think it's kind of like the last, top. We've got Brennan Johnson coming in, young guy. I think somebody, I think it was Chris or something in the comments asked earlier. Where does he fit into this role now that we're in the top three? And for me, I think he fits, anywhere across that front line. He could play on the left. He can play in the middle. He can play on the right. For me, I think this is just me personally. After the research that I've done, I think he gets in above Solomon for me, and he could possibly even get in above Kulu if Kulusevski continues to struggle like he has been over, the last couple months.
I think
Yeah,
also. I think.
Sorry, Mark.
Sorry. I think also too we have to be careful because people are saying, "Well, he's coming from Nottingham Forest." There's a lot of players who didn't pan out with a team or a system. I think Johnson is going to come good because he's going to edge his system, and I think he's going to possibly flourish just playing with us. There's a lot of players who, with one team, they didn't do great, but then they went to another team and they flourished. And you have those who flourish, and then they sign with the wrong team, i.e., Vlahovic. He went to the wrong team, went from Fiorentina to Juventus. It's not working out. Doesn't like the coach or whatsoever. Whereas with Johnson, he really wants to relish in this opportunity, and Forrest plays a totally different way than we play.
I think this system would suit him.
Yeah, it will suit him. So I agree with Will that he may flourish with us, and we want that to happen. So yeah,
We'll see by that point as well. Veliz might be able to get a game or two, so we'll see how that turns out.
Where is he at the moment, though, Veliz? Because he seems to have just disappeared off the radar. I thought he was being
Just
put in
playing
the
with the under
21s.
21s. Yeah.
I think it's.
Yeah, well, I've looked at the last three matches and I couldn't see him participating at all. Unless I just missed some of the highlights, or he came on as a late sub. I couldn't see him in the last three games.
he hasn't been named to the squad.
Oh, okay.
He hasn't been named to the squad, so I'm guessing they have him with the under 21s. But he
Maybe just hasn't had game
Well, he's
time
not
yet.
playing with the first team. I mean, he was bought for the future. That's literally what was said, right? There's a lot of rumors going around that he doesn't have his work permit, blah, blah, blah. But Alistair Gold says that's bullcrap. He got it the exact same day as Vanderven did. So he's just playing. He's just in the academy, doing what academy kids do. So
Yeah.
would you when it comes to the FA Cup, if we get a favourable draw against a low division team, though, would you give him minutes if it was possible?
Bring him on as a sub once we're 3-0 up.
yeah. Now that we don't have Dan Scarlett, he's got to be
like that.
Now that we don't have Dan Scarlett, he's got to be the guy that comes in and fills that role from the academy, right? So
absolutely.
We will. Yeah, we will.
But no,
fuck
not
off
in the
that
FA Cup. No.
game. We will fuck off that FA Cup game.
In the FA Cup, we need to be
did.
playing our first starting 11 in the first game. No,
Yeah.
nobody's
We won't
getting
do that.
we
We
can come.
will
Nobody's
treat
getting
come on
the
it
play.
the same way. We will treat it exactly the same way as the
Yeah.
Carabao Cup.
That's his
No,
league.
no,
That's
yeah.
his-
He can't make that
whole
mistake
fucking
again,
I don't-
Iggy.
I don't
He
think
cannot
he'll
make
do
that
that
mistake
again.
again.
I don't think he'll do that again, Iggy. But
Yeah, he can't do it again.
Should we
If-
dinner?
if the boss-
If he does it again, then he's got he's
Should
going to
we
lose.
have a little
But
bit here?
I really like Ange Postecoglou, and if he does it again, he's going to lose a lot of
Respect.
I don't think it ever
respect.
comes
A hell
from
of a
him.
lot of
I don't even think it comes from him. I think it will come from above him.
There's no way, dude. There's no way. Look, I don't buy this. Like, I understand people want to rationalize the dumb decision that he made, but I just cannot see any logical reason why Daniel Levy would have him rest players for the league 3 weeks into the season. Right? Us dropping points against Burnley does not help us or hurt us get Champions League 37 weeks from now. You know, it doesn't. There's no impact at this point in the season, right? Like the one in front of, with Jose Mourinho, that was different. That was in the beef of the season, right? We had, if you remember, the cup final was played a lot later than the normal
Feb
FA
early
Cup.
March time.
Yeah, FA Cup finals are at. Normally the FA Cup final or the FL Cup or the EFL Cup is what, January sometime, right? December, January sometime. So it was a different situation. We still mathematically could have gotten top 4, and that was, I think, the beef along that. 3 weeks into the season, with for 4 days to rest, what's the point in saving people? This for me was, I think,
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, this for me, I think, is what Ange Postecoglou was wanting to do. Is Ange Postecoglou is a little bit known as a man manager, and I think he wanted to keep the new players happy, keep them on board. So the only opportunity that he had, that he could have played them, it was safer than hurting the results in the league from his own perspective, was to play them in the cups. And that's why he did it. I think the choice was his, 100% his own. I don't think Daniel Levy came down and said, you have to play these guys. I mean, what does Daniel Levy care if Fraser Foster plays? Daniel Levy don't care about Fraser Foster. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. And
Do you know what? That's the one position which I didn't understand. All right, play your outfield players, but your goalkeeper, you keep your first team goalkeeper in goal. You know, he isn't running around for 90 minutes as much as the other players. So that's what. As soon as that popped up and it was like Forster's in goal, I was like, oh.
I just think that
was
these
still
guys are in
Vicario in there,
training.
mate.
Ange wanted to have them be happy, right? To keep them involved in the new atmosphere, right? He didn't want to immediately say, disgruntle people, bar than the people he had to disgruntle, like Eric Dyer. And so he gave the guys who are on the fringe a chance, and they blew it. It's simple as that. Occam's razor, man.
What a price to pay, man. What a price to pay so early on. And I just don't think any of it. I would have rather have lost the league game. At least there you've got 37 other games.
Yeah.
You can make
Even
up for it
even
the
at
cup
half
game.
time though, even at half time, he had a good opportunity to make changes.
Hey,
Yeah,
put
and he
Scarlett
did.
on.
I just don't
Scarlett
think
on.
Burnley was even in the decision making process. I don't think it was to save or rest people for Burnley at all. I mean, it's Burnley for crying out loud.
Yeah, Tuesday or Saturdays, you got enough games and enough days there to recover. I don't know, because even at half time, I thought we'd make 2 subs and we brought on Scarlett, and it just tells me that for me,
And that was for a Lo
took
Celso
it.
injury. That's the only reason why he took him off.
I thought Lo Celso was actually getting a lot of grief from Ange on the sideline, saying he wasn't happy with the positions that he was taking up. I don't know, man. I just felt like we literally said, look, we're just going to throw this game away, because we didn't even lose the game. We drew 1-1, and just thinking to himself, if he had just played like not even a full team, but just half of the team, and say
Didn't
make
make
5 changes.
Didn't need to make that many changes.
I
Yeah,
just think that
9
based on
was too many.
preseason,
9
I
is
just
too
think-
many.
I just think that based on preseason, because you remember in preseason he was swapping teams, a whole 11s at a time, right?
But
I just think that he thought that those 9 players could get the job done.
Would be good enough.
Yeah. It's
Because
almost like the
because
Barcelona
B team
game fooled
did
him
play
into
well
a
against
false.
Barcelona. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like exactly, Maz. Because the B team played well against Barcelona.
There were several
right?
preseason games besides Barcelona too, where the B team is the one that ended up scoring that won us the preseason match, right? The A team, the Harry Kane, Son, Kulusevski team didn't score in like 2 or 3 of those preseason games.
I think what it did show him though is when there is actual pressure from the team rather than it being a friendly, that they can't hack it. They crumble those second tier
That's why I was
players.
saying about pressure earlier on. It all comes when how this team will manage the pressure further down the line. I just felt like, even if we had made those changes, especially the Madders, Sonny, just made them all on the hour, say, you know what, the manager at some point has to say, "I've seen enough here. Let me just make some changes now while the game's
Yeah.
1-1."
I prefer it the other
I'm
way
on it.
around. I prefer start strong, get your goal, your couple of goalies, then sub them off early,
100%. I agree.
rather than
I just
That's the
felt-
thing,
the other way
Maz.
around.
100%.
Imagine in 4 weeks' time, we go to Fulham away, first 11 goes out, half
And
time
waxes
we're
them
3-0
4-1.
up.
Yeah.
You don't
But
know
Lee,
what
do
could have been. What
it's
could have been.
guys, the thing is, it's percentages, all right. When you put an 11, like I'm saying, make the changes. No one's denying the fact that you shouldn't have made any changes. Of course, make the changes, but you make those changes, and you always let. Someone told me a long time ago when I was involved in football, be it I was a player once, then I got involved in the manager side of it, and I always said to me, always from the get go, you base it on percentages. When you make the changes, you base it on percentage. You always want to have the percentage of winning rather than losing. Of course, we all do. But the bottom line is, the moment you start putting Fraser Foster in, you make the defensive side of it, as always, it was a weak point last season. And what do we do by making the changes? By putting Davis, Emerson, Sanchez, the goalkeeper, your percentages are massively decreased. And you've gone back to the strong, you've moved from the strong teams that you've been playing last 3 or 4 games, you've now become the last season's team. If you think of all the players that you had in, you've become the 8th team that ended where you are with those players. Okay, I know Foster wasn't in it, but I'm looking at the Sanchez's and the Davis. They are back now. So those second string players were the team that ended up 8th. And when you've got a team that finished 8th place playing against Fulham, which is thereabouts, to give it or take, you've now made a game of it. So your percentage of success rate has dropped massively, and now you've made a game of it. Once you make a game of something, and even though it went on to penalties, and then you've got a goalkeeper doing what he does, you fucking threw the game away. And all I'm saying is, make sure you pick the team, make the changes, but at the same time, make it to the point where it's still in your favour. The tie still has to be the favour. Something dramatically has to happen in the game, like sendings off and the goal and the referee making something dramatic has to happen for you to lose that game. Win it in the 90 minutes. Don't take it to fucking penalties, because by that point, it's a mess. And
that's the thing, Iggy.
the worst
He
thing that
literally
happened.
He extracted the core. I mean, I get it. I mean, give it, Basuma a rest or someone like that, but don't extract the creativity out of your team and then put 2 people in there that have got about as much creative, thought as I don't know. I don't know what to compare them to. I mean, they had nothing.
If you remember against Bournemouth, I know you didn't watch the games, Lee, but against Bournemouth, we took all our midfielders off. Our 3 midfielders, Maddison, Sarr, and Basuma, we took them off on the 70th minute.
Yeah, 70 minutes. Yeah.
So I thought the process, the mindset of Postecoglou, because I thought to myself, it's really weird. I mean, you could take 1, 2, but you took 3 of your centre midfielders, all of them off in one game.
Save them for Fulham, and they didn't play.
Exactly. That was my thinking process. I thought, isn't that? When I saw them not in the starting lineup, I thought, what the fuck did you take them off for then if you're not going to play them? So I don't want to go back there, because that, I don't want to go back to Fulham when we've had just Burnley. I want to move away from that. But in my mindset, in that process, I was thinking, why, man? Why would you literally throw the game? In fact, I made a video called Why, Ange, because I was like, why would you do that? You literally threw the game away. So, in second round of the Cup, and we're out in August, September, we got nothing now to the FA Cup. That's what I'm saying. I'm not putting anything on that FA Cup, because I think it's going to happen again, guys. I'll be honest with you. I think
it better not happen again, though.
Well, maybe now we don't have the 9 players, because we don't have Sanchez. We don't have. So I don't know. Maybe it won't happen because it won't be permitted. I just thought we just wasted the best chance we probably had of doing something in the Cup. The FA Cup's a lot harder to win, because you've got far more great teams. So I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see how we look nearer to the time.
Yeah, I agree. That's the only sour thing that it's a sour taste in my mouth. It's just like, gosh,
it was unnecessary, Mari. It wasn't desperation. It wasn't like we needed to do it. It was not needed. We didn't have any injury issues. There was no. Why it was almost self-sabotage. That's what I called it. I was doing the stream. I called it. Tonight was self-sabotage, and my thinking process about that, even though a week has passed now, hasn't changed my mind. I still think we self-sabotage, but it's such a Spurs thing to do, man.
So the last topic that I want to talk about tonight, because I don't think we have a whole lot more time on the evening, is Pedro Porro. So not me, but a lot of people were counting Pedro Porro out, saying that he was a horrible player, or getting a lot of the same stick that other people got, that I think was undeserved. The 2 goals that we conceded against Burnley, a lot of people are blaming Pedro Porro for those goals. And while it is true that in the first goal he slipped and was unable to recover and stay with his man, he is the one, by the way, who pushed that man who initially had the run away from goal and outside of the angle that caused the Bournemouth wide player the Burnley wide player to play the ball back into the box, right? Had to play that ball into the box. If it wasn't for him pushing the player, then the player could have had a shot on goal himself. He didn't. He played the ball back into the box. And it just happened to be, by the way, Van der Ven, who couldn't block or get into the mark the man correctly, who was making a run in behind. Why is Pedro Porro getting such stick for not being able to defend when he defended so well in the last 2 games against Manchester United and also against Bournemouth? Why are people really going in on Pedro Porro? Well, while he may not be a glorious defensive right back, but he's just as good a defender as Trent Alexander-Arnold is. He's just as good a defender as a lot of the right backs in the league, and he's really good going forward, far better going forward than someone like Emerson Royale. Why are people shitting on Pedro Porro so hard?
I don't know, man. I just, this is how I put it. I put the 2 scales. Does having Pedro Porro on the team, does it do more good than bad? If the answer is yes, then he should be in a team. It's as simple as that. I don't know what
I agree.
Basic. I mean, he contributed. I think he's actually done. I thought he was brilliant against Man United.
Yeah.
I thought he was really good against Bournemouth as well, especially defensively.
And good against Burnley. I mean, that's 3 out of the 4 games.
Yeah, so I thought he did well. Okay, the goal was.
He didn't play in the first one, so.
So I thought. Listen, I thought he's done well. I think he was new. Listen, he came in January. He spent maybe the first 3 months of the season, or before the end of the season, just adjusting. You have to give the player a pre-season.
And playing in this shitstorm that was going on at the club at the time.
That was going. We was in complete disarray. Everything.
3 different managers in his first 5 games.
Conte left, and then he had to
Conte's number 2.
Ryan Mason. Now then he's a pre-season. He's playing in a team. A new manager. He's playing in a favourable, attacking-minded manager. So he's in a favourable style of play, and I think he's combining overall defensive and attacking display. I think he's been good. So
really good.
I think he's been good. It's better than Everton going forward. You can argue.
Is it because people are getting behind him a lot?
Yeah, but
I don't know. Maybe the combinations are better.
Though, is I've seen the great thing about him. He's young, and I've seen improvement where he's. Yeah. I guess he's becoming
each
more
game. He's
situationally aware.
Because on the left-hand side, you don't see that happening with a doggy, really, do you?
No,
they don't go down our right-hand side or our left-hand side to the right-hand side for a time. If you notice, most teams in the Premier League, for whatever reason, tend to transition down the left. We do it, right?
Yeah.
It has to do with the number of right-footed players.
Your right-hand side is the strongest side, isn't it? But
we're gonna have to watch out for Martinelli when we play Arsenal.
Well,
he did a great job against Rashford against Man United, and he did a really good job against. So I don't know.
Here's the thing.
I still think we have to be careful because, like I said, Udogie and Kasaka. I'm excited to see that matchup, but on the other side, on Martinelli.
Well, look, if the fan base is willing to give Emerson Royale, or if Stel was here, Chicken Royale, right, couple of seasons, then we've got to give Pedro at least the same amount of time. But for me, Pedro as well has shown improvement. He's adapted.
We're playing with his inverted fullbacks as well. So, you know, there are changing to their games as well. So I think it's a system that big up London
boy.
Big up to everybody who's putting a super chat.
Thanks for the super sticker. Thanks for the super sticker. If you want to add some words or something, type them up and we'll read them out. Yeah.
Thank you very
100%.
much. Thank you. So I just feel like I don't know what the issue is, because I'm seeing a guy that's up his game, and I think he's doing a lot better than what I remember. I was really impressed. Was it the Bournemouth game? We did a live watch along where we was impressed with his blocks. He did so many blocks in that game.
Yeah, Bournemouth game. He had a really good game there.
So I don't know.
Let me read these 2 super chats. We got Gogama, who's always been
big up Gogama,
the legend, the Empress.
She doesn't support just that. She supports all the Tottenham channels. So really big up.
It makes me jealous. I don't like it. Happy for you, Sonny. More goals for Spurs. You can do it. 항상 믿고 사랑해요, 우리 Sonny. Which is, I always believe in you and I love you, Sonny.
No.
Big up Gogama. And then if we rebuild season, let's back Ange. I'm guessing that's supposed to be it. Like, it's a rebuild season. Let's back Ange for decisions. I think that was talking about the Fulham part. We always back him for decisions, but we always back our managers. Like, I don't have a problem with Ange Postecoglou or anything that he did for as far as like his style and all that stuff. But I'm sorry, for Fulham, he's got it wrong, man. It's okay to say that. It doesn't mean I don't like him.
I agree, right? Danny. I agree.
And we can talk about it.
I agree.
You know, that's part of discussion, right?
That pass by Porro, because we were doing the stream, I was like, Will, because we saw the finish by Sonny, but that pass by Porro was so exquisite. I'm using big words now. Exquisite.
Into his half.
Midfield half.
Cafu-esque. Right? If Emerson Royale makes that pass, it ends up in the top tier, right? I'm just saying.
Yeah. I mean, Porro, that pass was just,
That's a number 10 pass, really. If you think about it, it's a number 10 pass. It's a number 10 pass there to put go in front of goal. So he's clearly got the vision. He's got the accurate. You know, he's accurate. He's got a good feeling with the ball, and you know, to see it. The thing is, there's one thing seeing the run, one thing wanting to play that ball, and the other thing, and the last thing, the most important is that the execution. The fact that he can do all three. Do you know what? Props to him, man. He's been brilliant. I don't know what the issue is.
He's already not only just that pass too, and I know people don't like stats, but he's already been one of our biggest chance creators. Like the amount of chances, he's created 2 big chances plus the assist that he had to Son. You know, key passes per game. He's averaging at least, you know, like 1 per game, but in some games he's having 2 or 3. He's really helping us in the attacking phase of the play. And defensively, he hasn't been dribbled past that.
He's been really good.
He hasn't committed any errors.
Do you know what, Will? Yeah. Even if he does make a fuck up at the back, it's gonna happen to every defender. You know, Van der Ven has scored 2 own goals. You know, so it's gonna happen. But what?
And I think was that fault for the first goal yesterday or on Saturday.
But what you must realize is the good that they bring. Van der Ven is the good that he brings. Udogie, Porro. This could be applied for any player in our team. Is the good that they bring in a team far outweigh the bad that they've done? If that is the case, then they're good players. They're good to have. You stick with them. If their contribution is far less great than the crap they do, which is what Richarlison's doing right now, he's contributing is not great. He's making more more fuck ups than the actual good. Then he doesn't worry because he's not bringing anything to the team. He's not bringing anything to the cause. And once that happens, once that outweighs anything good that he brings in, he should be taken out of the team until that changes.
And he's going to get beat over the top. That's just a part of playing a high line. We've seen Romero get beat over the top so far this year. Van der Ven's gotten beat up over the top this year.
One ball over the top away. That's what happened to Burnley with our first goal.
When you play the high line, though,
that's the chance.
That's what's going to happen. It's just going to happen. And I think he's dealt with it. Did he deal with it the best way against Manchester United? No, but we've seen like improvement. I've seen improvements from him and his performances.
And the goalkeeper. We have to say the goalkeeper as well.
Too.
Is adding to that.
Vicario, I was very skeptical with him. He has not in the last 3 games, besides Brentford away, I haven't seen him come out and make like a blunderous, like a unconfident or risky deal. And that was the only thing that I had some
but they're all
reservations
growing
about.
together. That's the beautiful thing where we've seen. We've saw that. I saw a photo that I sent you guys of both Vicario and Emerson celebrating. I think Vicario made a save, and
when he made that
and
save,
the guys they celebrated that.
Yes.
The growth of the Van der Ven, Romero, the goalkeeper. The growth of them. This is what I'm saying. The longer you have them playing together, they grow a lot at a faster rate because good players always understand good players. So these guys will grow and become better, and they're becoming united as well. So it's a good thing, guys. It's a good thing.
Yeah, I got it. Any final thoughts before we say goodnight, or?
No, it's a shame. It's a shame that international friendlies has come at a time that it has, because I think it's just stopped our momentum a little bit.
And that's what I was just going to say. Like recently, I've been thinking, oh, thank God it's an international break.
I know, right?
Like we get,
like
we get a rest and stuff. And now I'm actually gutted as an international break. So it's nice to have that feeling back.
Yeah, for sure.
It's all right. We've got England to watch.
Sorry. Well, I mean, we got Greg Berhalter back at the United States, so I'm looking forward to that. Not.
I think, you know what, this is a valid point right here by Cube. Cube, listen, we have to remember players require a little bit of time to settle, especially if they're coming from a different league and so forth. There's a language barrier, there's a league, but you have to allow players a little bit of time.
Some players need 2 to 3 years,
sorry,
like Brian Hill.
Doggy ain't taking no time.
Yeah, but the thing is, what the context, though, JP, the context. If Udogie had come in the disarray that, say, for example, that Porro came into that mess. If Udogie had come into that mess, we may be
looking last year. If we had brought him in, and we may be judging that season.
Yeah. We may be looking at Udogie right now and saying he ain't ready. He's shit. Get rid of him. Put him alone on the basis of what we would have seen. But because he's come into a settled team with Van der Ven next to him, a goalkeeper,
it's nice to have a clean start.
It's easier. Your job, it's a clean slate. And we are judging him rightly now. So it's the same has to be said about all players. You have to give them the time to get into it. Look at Bissouma. If we had judged him on last season and got rid of him, say for 10 million, say he was shit, not ready, send him back. He would have exploded somewhere else. We'd be eating our hands right now, because in a settled side, he's fit now. Bissouma is, for me right now, better than the Brighton player that we saw.
Oh yeah, 100%. Madison as well. I think Madison's looking better than he looked at Leicester. I mean, he's always been a good player, and he's always done well for Leicester too. But the performances that he's putting in this season in this particular role,
he's taking on the leadership role.
Yeah.
The impression I get looking at Madison is like he's a player that's been playing for Spurs, not just now. He's been there for a few seasons, and it's just a shame, just typical that in the most attacking based team that we could have had, we've lost Kane, because I think Kane would have added. He would have scored shitloads of goals this season.
That quality would have just been.
Of course, we literally have arrows everywhere. Madison, Kane, Son, Kulu.
Can you imagine? Oh,
arrows on goals, like ridiculous.
Hey, look, I think we're doing just fine without Kane. I don't miss him.
Yeah. Listen, it is what it is. We move on.
Yeah, it is what it is. We just move on.
Yeah. I'd love to have Leroy Sané on our team, though. Jesus.
Yeah, on the right.
Wow.
We need a right. We need a right winger that can.
We just bought one.
Well, Brendan Johnson's kind of. We need and Brandon Johnson, I think, will probably play more on the left, right? Because they're still playing inverted to their feet. Yeah, he's a right-footed player. He's going to play on the left.
I don't think so.
I think he was playing on the. Wasn't he playing on the right though for? Not Forest.
Forest, yeah.
He was played across the line.
Predominantly on the right.
Predominantly on the right, yeah.
It would make more sense for him to be bought on the left for me personally. I didn't, as you know, I don't want to dig out Kulu because I think it's a bit unfair. I don't think he's been as bad as what people are making out. He just hasn't hit the heights that he hit in his first 6 months at Spurs. But that's not an area of the pitch that I'm that concerned about, if I'm honest with you. I'm more concerned about.
Same thing, same thing I will say about for him that I will say with Son. Even with those two players, maybe not the highest of heights, they are still better than anything else we've got around us. And we
Absolutely.
saw that against Fulham. They're out of the team, you could see the drop off. And when they came onto the pitch, you could see the rise.
And you can see the difference between someone like Kulu, who's not at his
Big
best,
update.
and he's constantly trying to make something happen, constantly running, constantly battling, whereas there's someone like Richarlison who's got a point to prove, yet he's just falling over the ball. He looks like he's going to cry at any moment in time. It's just ridiculous.
Well, I mean, I know people don't like stats, but I think that they're relevant. Richarlison, as far as like when you look at any, it could be FOTMob, it could be SofaScore, it could be I don't know what's WeChat or WhatsApp or whatever the other who's it score, I don't know who score. I really dislike that one, but it's like a kid's statistical site. But anyway, Richarlison is at the bottom of the barrel when it goes to player ratings that they give, like the statistical ratings. The very bottom of the barrel. And it's amazing how the stats actually fit with the eye test on that one. But when it comes to the other 11, right? You got James Madison's top of the team right now. You got some behind him: Romero, Basuma, Manor Solomon, Pedro Porro, Vicario, Papin Metasar, Adoji, right? Van der Ven. Kulusevski's the bottom of the top players, and he's still got a decent score, like 7.13. I mean, we've had good performances as a team overall, so he hasn't been, I wouldn't say he's been bad, but for me, he's been aggressively average, right? Like, but I haven't looked at his performances and said, what a great game today, mate. You know what I mean?
He's already equaled Richarlison's goal scoring record for Spurs of last season.
Yeah. And beat it from this season. So,
Romero,
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I think he's been average. I don't think he's been bad, and I don't think he's been great. I haven't looked at any of his performance and been like, wow, man, what a great. I think he's had good moments, but I don't think he's had any good games. I think he's just been average for me this season. I hope he steps it up. I think, to be honest with you, I think he's been average since he got back from injury. I just don't think that he's found. There's something missing with him. And he's not bad. I don't think he's bad. No, but just like even the decision making when he first came in for Conte from January in that first season, his decision making was fast. It was sharp. He would take the ball to the byline, and without even thinking, that ball would come straight back into Son and find Son sitting on the penalty spot. Son got 5 goals off of Kulu. He ended up with 8 or 9 assists that year and 2 or 3 goals. But today if you watch the watch along that me and Mari did against Burnley, especially in that first half, there's several times where Kulu takes the ball to that byline again, and we're like, do something with it. Come on, do something with it. Pass it. Like it literally, you can count 4 or 5 times of us saying, do something before he actually does something. Then he tries it, and by then it's too late. The play is already bogged up. The box is bogged, right? He's got 1 or 2 men on him. He needs to act faster, even if he makes a mistake. I don't know if it was Conte and his, anal retentive obsession with not making any mistakes at all. And so he's got this fear in him now that he thinks he needs to be reserved. And that Postecoglou just hasn't been able to needs to get that release him free of him. Because you can hear Postecoglou on the sideline, play. Right? Like Postecoglou wants you to make a mistake if it means you're creating and trying to create those chances. And
for me, it looks like a confidence thing with him, though. It doesn't seem as it just doesn't seem as happy for some reason.
No, I think we're looking too far into it. I think he just needs to find a better form. I do think like he's missing his partner in crime. I thought he had a brilliant understanding with Bentancur. I think that chemistry on that side of the pitch seems to have gone wayward a little bit. The right backs behind him have changed a little bit. That has to grow now that he's got Porro there. And we're playing slightly different with the inverted fullbacks. and also listen, I'm not overly worried. I think he got his goal the week before, so I think between now and the games to come, he will grow. I think his contribution will still be there, and I think he just needs to alter his game a little bit sometimes, not to be so obvious that he's always going to cut in to get a shot in and stuff like that. I'm not overly worried because I still think he's the better option than anyone else that we could.
Right now, absolutely, and I think that maybe Johnson coming in puts a little bit of lights a light under his fire, lights a fire under his bum or something like that. And we get things going. But guys, Mari, I don't know if you're still there, if you ran away, but you're gonna be going live on Wednesday or Thursday night, or what shows we got coming up left on the channels? Yeah, games coming up
on Wednesday, because it's been a bit challenging because Saturday was such a good game, but I actually want to do a Legends episode. So you guys are here on the stream, and then be anyone in the
I'm
panel.
busy Wednesday, Mara. I can't come.
Okay. Basically,
I'm not really busy, but it was just a joke because you said Legends, right?
Yeah. So we're basically going to talk about our all-time first 11 Spurs, and we'll it could be your favorite, so this is the chance people to talk about Defoe, Ginola, Hoddle, I was going to extend some
Archibald, Glenn Hoddle,
Vlad Cherishis, Nakudu. No, just kidding. But no, we're gonna have an episode of your Ultimate 11 Spurs team, and also Ultimate Spurs moment. So definitely, everybody watch. Get ready to have your opinions, and so it will be interesting. People may say, you know what, I want a front of Berbatov and not Kane, or people, or Robbie Keane, or people may say, oh, Gareth Bale, I'm going to put him at a wing back, or put him at winger. So it will be Steve Perriman in the back. I mean it's going to be interesting. So I know it's a national break, but we're going to spice it up and get the debate going. Ultimate Spurs 11, and also top moments. What are your top 5 moments in Spurs history? So should be a fun show on Wednesday.
Good deal. Nicky, what do you got going on, my man?
Good morning, Tottenham Away will be on as per usual. May not be on every day because obviously international week, so there won't be. We'll be obviously chatting about the players have just literally departed, so I'll be speaking on them. But yeah, that will be on Good Morning Tottenham Away. Normally, like I said, do daily, but it may be every other day during international break because things go a little bit quiet, don't they? So yeah, but we'll make it fun, no doubt, and we'll probably see you again in the streams. If we do some, I'll jump on some and I'll let you guys know in the socials for sure. Big up, guys! Brilliant. That's a really good stream tonight. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a good
one. And I haven't seen the guys for a long time, so good to see you lot as well.
JP, anything going on that you want to let people know about? Or?
Well, I've kind of, now that I'm back and I don't have those fabulous sceneries behind me, I'll see where I am in the next couple of days to make a couple of evening videos. But as Iggy says, obviously it's going to be the international break. Maybe a little update on kind of Spurs players, kind of where they are and kind of what they're doing and how they're playing. Yeah,
the story so far.
Pray no one gets
updates like if Son scores free kick for South Korea or something, or
they're playing Wales apparently, right?
Yeah, it's called. It'll be called the fanboy stream. Sunny fanboy stream.
I still need to get my don't I get a pin or something? I got a pin, a card.
You need to speak to Sonny's team, and really
seriously, the wars that I fought for that guy on Twitter, I ought to get something. I'm just saying.
Exactly, and you keep on battling them. and I really do think a lot of these people that fight you, they're not. I don't even think they're Son haters. I just think they just hate you.
That's fine. Will haters, I'll take it. Speaking of Will haters, I will be having a debate sometime over on Alan Clark's channel, Time Added On, with Jay.
I watched that earlier.
Yeah, with Jay. So
Put the link.
I'll put the link in the community whenever that gets scheduled. I will put the link to that debate in the community section so people can go over to Alan's channel and give that a watch. It should be a feisty one. So it'll be good entertainment. Apparently he's a logical guy, and so we're gonna have a logical debate.
He had box office on there today, didn't he? I saw that.
Box office,
and I saw him.
I look forward to seeing that. I want to see that.
Apparently, I'm Alex's burner account.
Nice.
So it's
I saw that. I was
surprise. No, Jay, I'm Will. See, the logo here is the same as the one that's in my YouTube chat. But yeah, that's what we'll be doing. Lee, Maz, what do you guys got going on?
Nothing. I'll be on. I just work and come on every Monday.
There you go. No Twitter wars that we can go.
No. Before that stuff.
Before I get Donna Callan in my ears, your mugs will be coming to you this week.
Yeah,
so.
she's gone AWOL. I haven't seen her around in any of the channels
she stopped
recently.
talking to me because I haven't sent you your mugs. So.
Oh.
Donna, I'm still waiting for my sugar mama to send me the plane tickets. I'm just saying.
My sugar mama, get out. Not much from me. I'm about 60% through the washing after coming back off holiday. I've got about another 3 loads to put in, and my boys' season starts on Sunday morning, so it's all distance firing.
Late start for you guys. Then you guys don't start like our boys started preseason back early August, and we've already had 2 tournaments and 2 games a weekend.
No, the league starts this week. The league starts this week. The first league game of the season is going to be this Sunday coming up. My boy had a friendly just the Sunday gone, but the league officially starts this week.
My son,
I think they generally tend to start it after they go back to school to get all the holidays.
When school starts. You guys start school early, didn't you, over there?
Yeah, we start August. Well, it just depends on the state, but we started school August, I think 6th or 2nd.
We start normally first week of September. And
Georgia, same. We start in August.
Yeah, in here we start first week of September, and that tends to be the start of all the league, the league and stuff like that. So
I'll tell you what, man, my son got to play center attacking mid again for the first time in a year and a half. It was like a breath of fresh water to actually watch him play and actually get to be on the ball and do good things. He's been I'm about close to pulling him out of the club because I think they're stunting his development because they're playing him as a striker and he's just not a striker. It's just not what he did. When he was playing as an attacking mid, was top of the state. Just the amount of growth and excitement and enjoyment he had for the game. Came to a new club. They didn't have any depth in the striker role and had him playing there, and he's just been kind of sitting there and hasn't really been enjoying it, his love for it. But he played. He actually got moved down a level this year, unfortunately, and I think it's because he was playing in a striker and he's not a striker. But he got to play. I talked to the coach and I said, look, he's not a striker. I was like, and the coach, before I even said that, it's like, yeah, he kind of plays like a false 9. I was like, well, that's because he's an attacking midfielder. He's not a striker. The coach then put him in the attacking mid, and he just bossed the game. I mean, had a Madison-esque performance, and it was really good. It was nice, because when you know your kid has talent and ability, and he's not being utilized in the right way, not only does it hurt you, but it's like I can't get onto him because I know that's not his role. He's not that cutthroat cane in the box type of a player. He wants to create. His first thought is always to find a pass. So he could be 4 yards from the goal and make a pass to a winger rather than when he should have taken it himself, and his teammates moan at him and do whatever. And it was good. It was good to see him get to play in that position. Hopefully the coach keeps him there. Like hopefully Postecoglou keeps Son in the 9. So.
Yeah.
Well, that's it, folks. We are done for tonight. Thank all of the super chatters and all of that good stuff. When is your permanent transfer to We Are Tottenham?
I'm very much a Tottenham away man. I loved my time there the other night. I did enjoy it, and I will do 1 or 2 more in the future. But no, I'm a permanent fixture here at Tottenham away.
All right,
Yeah.
and guys, make sure you hit the subscribe. We're about 80 away. We had about a good number.
6.
We got I think we got about over 10 people subscribed. So keep hitting that subscribe.
JP said that we were 86 away, and so if we're on 80 now, then we had 6. So unless somebody's wrong. Gogama, big up with the super sticker and the super chat. We love Gogama. We love us some Gogama over here, Tottenham away. And then we got Faz as well. We love Faz. Big up Faz. Faz is always the one supporting the channel. And London Boy also fellow American, or at least somebody living in America, or using American dollars, is supporting us as well. Always supports us. Maybe he's the next pap. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back Wednesday with Mari's show. On my show, it's my outro line, so I'm gonna say it now. Stay strong, stay Spurs. We'll see you guys next time.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, Spurs. We're out of here.
Come on, you Spurs.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.